Good. Okay. We'll begin the meeting with the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just a couple announcements. No real update on the coronavirus. Kind of hit a little bit of a plateau with cases. We're just over 200 for the county, 211. And received some notifications today. I think they're appropriate. May was Mental Health Month, and October 10th is actually World Mental Health Day. So there's a lot of information out there on the websites about warning signs of mental illness, mental health, fatigue, stress, and ways to combat it. So I think it's a good reminder, especially in this coronavirus time period that we're in. Don't you stop it about us.
Maybe.
Just to take time to be mindful and kind of reflect on, I guess, just taking some time away from all the stress and just trying to center yourself to kind of be able to tackle all the issues that we're dealing with today in today's day and age of restrictions and social isolation, and just the the anxiety pervading our country and the world, in anticipation of a vaccine, hopefully in the near future. So. Next item is there's a free tire collection being held Saturday, October 17th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Minerva transfer station. These are kind of held throughout the county at various times throughout the year. We've had one here. I think we had one here this year. I think it wasn't this year, it was last year. Yeah, last year. So this is done through the Essex County Soil and Water. It's usually a pretty well-received program, so I know it's kind of a hike, but if anyone has any leftover tires that they're looking to get rid of, you can take them to Minerva. And the last thing, we'll be holding our Prescription Drug Take-Back Day, Saturday, October 24th, from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m., and that's usually held at the Thai Police Department. So any unused, expired prescription medications that are lingering around, please take them there for proper disposal. Outside of that,
Or you can take them any time of the year over to the police department.
okay.
There is a drop-off box.
Yes. Thank you, Tony. No presentations, no Board of Health report, so we will open it up for public comment, and then we'll move into our public hearing. Any public?
I have one thing, evening. So today's Walmart water leak kind of brings an interesting observation regarding town action. It generated immediate response, yet we still have a water leak in the Newberry building. That was reported last fall to the town. This board last talked about it August 13th. I believe the decision was we were going to wait until after Labor Day because we didn't want to impact the downtown businesses during the end of the summer busy season. Well, we're a month past that now. 2 months past the last time we talked about it, and a year past when it was first reported. Is there a plan, milestones, timelines the town has to get this fixed? I can just imagine that building having to be torn down. We don't need another parking lot on Montcalm Street. So what is the plan?
Well, that building, first of all, I know there's been a lot of discussion about it in the recent year. Actually, it's gone back to 2016 when the Hackerboat Building company was looking to give it back to the town. And obviously, as you mentioned, it has some deterioration inside. The building is currently not owned by the town. It's currently not owned by anyone in this town. It's still under the ownership of the person who's had it for the last few years from Hacker.
But the water line is owned by the town.
The water line is owned by the town, that's right. And this leak is uncertain as to how long it's been going. My understanding is it was going into the drain. The action to be taken right now is a little bit gray because of the fact that it's not owned by an entity that we can coordinate with to remedy. So I don't know that we actually had a firm held plan for remedying that. I don't know if anyone else has had any
It
conversation.
was talked about in the last two water and sewer meetings. We did bring it up. We specifically talked about it.
Yeah, and I think it's a matter of getting water department to basically give them notice to go ahead to tear up the street. I mean, that's what it's gonna take. And they're looking to do it, they would like to do it at night because it's less disruptive, obviously, to the downtown stuff. It could take as much as a short period of time as 3 to 4 hours. Depending on what they find when they get it dug up, it could take much longer than that. So they would like to do it at night, but it takes authorization of the overtime to do that. And so that will be something that we will probably be doing at the next water meeting. But we'll talk to Derek about that.
We continue to waste perfectly good water and then treat it. It would just be nice if this group would put a date down to actually work towards starting the dig and completing this. It's gone over a year. That's all I really have.
Mark, is there any way that could be dead-ended in the building? I mean, we fixed water lines live.
From what I understand, they can't do anything in the building until the line further on the town side has
But I
been
mean,
valved.
if you went before the leak, you could cut it and put a valve.
I don't think anyone's gonna do
Why?
that, because like Joe said, nobody owns the building.
Nobody can go in there and do anything. That's the problem. Nobody's
I
authorized to.
think we had clarification
Get the owner.
from the county that of the ownership and it was recommended not to enter the building.
Yeah, the county doesn't. Yeah, the county doesn't.
The first thing to do is just for the town to shut the water off before
Right.
mold completely takes over the
Right.
building and we have to knock it down.
And obviously, they tried to do that back, and then, of course, the valve is not functioning properly, because I don't know how old that is.
That's what they think.
That's what they think the problem is, so.
It would just be nice if we could get a date.
Yep.
For something to happen.
Well, I want to chime in here. I know there's a potential purchase of that property, interest in purchasing that property that's been going on for quite a while. And I think if we had a known owner that we could work with, it'd be a lot easier to take care of that particular issue. So.
Sure, but it's a town line, you can shut it off. I don't see ownership of the building having anything to do with the town shutting off a water break. My personal opinion.
Tim, do you have any questions for, you're the only other person here. No.
Who does own that?
What's that?
I mean, technically, is it still Cunningham that owns it?
Cunningham.
When's it gonna transfer?
Whenever someone looks to take ownership of it. It's been, the way it is, it's been over 2 years, so therefore it could fall back to foreclosure. But because everyone knows the history of that building, and the town had actually tried to take ownership of it, legalize it, Restore New York grant back in 2016, it needs a lot of work done to it. So it's just kind of out there in limbo. But someone in town would like to purchase it, and they have the means through the county to do so. So
And who would be liable is like, they took that plywood off all the windows up front, and there's a lot of cracked glass in there. I don't know who took it off, but what happens if a kid would do that? Who's liable? County, us?
Well, no, the county doesn't own it, we don't own it.
So who's,
Whoever did it, first of all, so whoever took it off, it'd be a subject of discovery, could be liable.
because that glass is,
The property owner,
Yeah.
obviously, you have obligations when you own property. It's still deeded to the property owner, the county's not foreclosed on it. So the property owner would have potential liability.
I think that would fall right in line with the water leak.
absolutely.
You know, I mean, maybe prior, better than the water leak, because I mean, you could lose a life there.
Yeah. Well, you took
If one of those glasses came down, I mean, it would just cut you into.
the code enforcement, you had taken the
Yeah.
initiative, and early on because of that.
We had that plywood put up back
Right,
2-4 years ago.
yeah.
So just as a suggestion, because our meeting's not until
End of the month.
end of the month, if we're saying that we, in agreement that we think it's the valve that's broken. And I would just suggest we give direction to, you know, or ask Derek, you know, I don't know what everything, I don't want to say his schedule, but so that, you know, before it gets,
I agree, yeah.
before the snow hangs and stuff, which could happen any time now.
Please.
You know, if we are thinking it needs to be fixed,
Tom mentioned overtime, but is that a factor?
It's not an issue of directing Derek, it's the legalities of, you know, the fact that it's in someone else's own, you know, name, and we're basically, you know, we can do stuff on the road, it's not the issue.
That's what we're talking about,
No,
like getting him to dig up the road, yeah, I don't think we
You
can
just dead end it or shut it off.
thing is,
Shut it off.
like if we shut the valve off, and technically we aren't supposed to go in the building to see if the water's not running. And that's part of the issue, like we can't legally go in there, I guess we could, you know, we could cross that hurdle, but technically we don't have any, and it's been recommended that we don't go in there. Anything else, but we could go, the town water crew could dig down, dig up the street, find a valve, and replace it and shut the water onto the building. If water.
Wasn't there some talk of coordination with the lead pipe grant that we have, and also the sidewalk money?
There was.
Yes,
that was,
I think that's an important issue too.
That came up as part of the
Yeah.
right.
consideration of the building. We thought was built after the number of, you know, 1946 was the year, I think, and that building was built in 1955.
But there was
something
a-
Yeah, but that shouldn't matter because you don't know where
Dad had
that, when they
business
put that valve in, right? Valve could have been put in much,
Yeah.
much earlier than that, the town valve. So,
Yeah, so we were just talking about budgeting, right? It just,
yeah, but you won't know any of that till you get it dug up,
That's the
that's,
same part.
so I think the deal is that if we're agreeing needs to be dug up, just need to tell Derek, get it in schedule, do it.
Okay, well, we can,
Is it just the road or is it the sidewalk? We don't know that either.
Don't know that.
well, based on where it's been shutting off, he thinks it's, you know, on the street somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, can we do that? What Mark just suggested? I mean, shut the valve off, not go in the building.
no, I
he can't, but he says the valve can't, there's a lot of layers to the onion, right?
You gotta shut the water off of all of Montcalm Street.
Yeah.
So every business in Montcalm Street is gonna be without water.
But-
So it's gonna take some scheduling issues, so, I mean, obviously, we gotta notify everybody up and down Montcalm Street that it's gonna happen on a certain day or night or whenever it happens. And it could last as long as X, and then, of course, it's gonna get dug up, and then it's probably gonna be a water boil, issue, because it's gonna get, you always get some kind of contamination in it when you do work like that, so.
But all these ifs, we gotta face it one way or the other.
Yeah, it's gotta be
You
done.
know, I mean, it's gotta be done. So, I mean, you can say if,
Right.
yeah.
Well, why
If it
don't,
takes 3 days, it's gonna take 3 days. I
Right.
mean, it's gotta be done,
Yeah.
period.
why don't we ask Derek to answer those questions for us?
right.
Derek,
I thought he already did.
in general terms,
He told us just what you just said.
well, in general terms, so like a little more firm. All right, more so want to get this done. You know, he said it could take up to 3 days, okay, then, okay, worst case, up to 3 days, what's it gonna cost, X number of man hours, okay. That, you know, I think that's what you lay out there, and then we vote on that, or if we even need to vote on it, but that's how I would do it, is say, you know, here's a task.
I would just say do it. What it is,
I'm
it
fine
is.
with that at this point.
You know, just get her done.
The question you get is you have there's been concerns raised about the building by a number of, you know, individuals and entities and so on. At the same time, you don't know, you know, the status of the building and where it's going to go, and you're impacting a lot of other people, so it just needs to be done when you make a move on it. So just, I think, have them flush it out. And
The only, I get the urgency or the imminent urgency that's being raised here. I just would want to make sure that the board is well aware of all the implications of the decision it makes, that's all. And I think for that, I think we just need to have that conversation with Derek and a few others, just to make sure because if it comes back on us for making the decision and then there's an issue with it, we want to be able to say why we move forward with it. Because this is a little bit different scenario than other ones we've dealt with.
Right.
So that's my point. So I would say,
The other thing is, and I'm not sure what, if we turn the water off to the building and repair whatever's wrong with the town's valve and shut it off, do we leave it off and therefore the building has no water? Otherwise, you're basically taking a building that that has an owner that hasn't told us or asked us to shut his water supply off. So do you fix our valve and turn it back on again and then hope somebody will come in and fix that leak, or do you leave it off?
My understanding
I
is
mean,
the
you know,
owners,
basically, we say, we know we got a leak, our valve isn't working, we're gonna go fix the valve. And then do you leave water off to a building simply because, technically, only because it's been brought to our attention by some people that aren't the building owner, right? That says that there's a leak there, that's the only reason we would know that there's a leak. Because the owner had to come to us and said,
Mark, is there a fire suppression system in there, or is it dry chemical?
I don't know.
I mean, if that water line feeds a fire,
yeah, so it's, again, I think
you
Bill,
know, that's a different ballgame.
right,
I mean, we're acting not on the behalf of the property owner, we're acting on
Right.
other people who
right.
been in the building, you know, and
I've been-
well, so I think we need to make sure we've got the right understanding of how we take action on this rather than just jumping and doing it. So I would say let's get that information together
Agreed.
and then we can put together a plan.
I do think,
There must be a fire system in there.
doesn't one of those buildings have like a fire, like, it just, you probably know better than anyways, isn't one of those buildings that have a place to,
A couple of those.
a house? It seems like one of those buildings, I don't know, maybe.
Oh, on the
They
facade.
used to have it on the outside, but I don't know if that's still valid. If it's still functional.
But that would be my thing, right? If the fire department thinks that functions, and then we shut the water off if it feeds that line, is that part of that equation? All of those would be good things to understand. Right, that'd be bad. Right?
If there was a fire system in there, it seems like it would be froze or broke long before now.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not as much concerned about that because of the number of years that it's been unheated and unoccupied. But I'm thinking, I think I can make a picture in my head that there's one on the front of that building where you can look at fire hose. So I mean, fire truck pulls up, goes to, and we've got the water shut off. You know, 5 minutes is 5 minutes, right? If they're running somewhere else for a hose attachment or hydrant, would be my concern. Derek's the right person to answer the questions and
Well, Derek, we built ball also.
And Bill.
Right.
And it's a risk assessment.
Yeah, so we'll pick it up for a concerted decision based on all those
Agreed.
questions. Okay. Any other questions from the public? We'll jump into public hearing. This is, public hearing is being held with regard to renewing the Charter Spectrum franchise agreement. And it was originally opened in August. This is the third monthly public hearing. So we have the approval for the franchise agreement, and the only real piece of information, I guess, that the board needs to basically set the determination of is the length of time for the contract. We were looking to do, I think we were looking to set it for 7 years, to have a little shorter duration between the next contract cycle. So outside of just the normalcy that every town who has a cable supplier operating in their town, or at least Spectrum, has to have a franchise agreement, I would recommend you pursue ours for a 7-year term. I don't know if anyone has any questions
So
or
we
thoughts.
discussed, and I don't know if it got back to them in any of the negotiations about what they can do for the town in regards to getting broadband in the village and things like that, that would be nice to see in part of the contract. I don't know if that's, how far we can push them, but I would think that, if we're gonna give them a 7-year deal, we ought to get something in return. I mean, we can't obviously do anything with the rates, because
They set the rate.
they set the rate, but we can certainly try to get some more infrastructure in the town in regards to broadband and internet and things like that.
Who's the company, starts with an S, it's Slick.
Slick.
Slick is doing some interesting things for solutions for some of these remote areas. Including setting up hotspots and other things. And personally, with the answer I got that night, I would have liked even gone to a 5-year contract because he was very vague and any commitment to, it's the some speech of,
Yeah.
the federal, state order.
Okay. I wouldn't want to go for a longer one, so.
No, I'd say go a little shorter because
Sure.
they didn't really commit too much other than, hey, we're here and want you to renew.
Right.
The question didn't come out of the meat on the bone, it was very vague as far as, especially when our kids are now in school, a lot of them. I'd move forward on 5 years.
Okay. You guys want to agree?
Yeah. See if we can get some internet, some broadband.
Yeah.
Well, those two different things.
Yeah. This is just the
If you're
frame.
gonna do that, then don't approve the agreement, hold it up. Because I can't go back and negotiate that after.
So you can go back and still have the.
Not really.
Hmm?
We'll be back in a month and it'll be the same agreement in 5 years. They're not related. The cable franchise and that. And the
This is
internet.
just for them to operate in the town. For us to go out and solicit additional building in our town,
Right,
can you incorporate that into this?
not really.
No, okay, so the two different things, but there are other avenues that the county's been pursuing to try to figure out that build out that,
Okay.
alleged, it's supposed to.
Yeah, we're working on that with Warren County as well because I chair the EDC in Warren County. That's one of the tasks that we have right now is trying to, regionalize this broadband effort. And Joe sent me information for Essex, so our current CEO, Jim, is working on that for Warren County. He's going to connect with Essex to see if we can push this. Because the reality is, it's all profit, right? It's supply, demand, and profitability. So what you're getting to is the edge of the market, roads and things like that with a certain number of houses on them. It's not profitable. So that's where government has to step in and help bridge that gap on profitability because it's not sustainable. I look at it from both ends, the government end, and then with my EDC hat on, from private business end, and that's the reality. You get smaller companies like Slick that are profiting from this because they've honed in on how to make the smaller areas profitable, right? That's what they're doing. Less overhead, things like that, better technology. And I had a long discussion with Kevin Egan about it, and he gets it. He's like, that's exactly what it is. There's a return on investment. So the ROI on, when they run a line out of road, they know it to the penny. These companies they're not dumb.
And that's why Bridgepoint is still not, just because they're
Right.
the same reason, number of clients, no town is Bridgepoint.
So our mission on the economic development side is twofold. One, to try to help, lobby the government side for more money for the rural areas where it's not as profitable, but also to pressure the companies that hold the franchises for this stuff. If they're not going to do it, to give it up to a company like Slick or something like that can come in and put these services in. Because some of these agreements do two things. They lock up the area so that somebody else can't come in. But we've got legal maneuvering we can do to try to negotiate that stuff, separate from what we're talking about here tonight. So that we can have a long discussion about the issues of broadband and how we get from A to B.
So if we have another avenue for that, I say let's close this thing out and move forward, because we're, multiple meetings, we've talked about this.
Yeah.
So we can do the resolution on that at,
Well, there have been some creative solutions up more northern part of the county where they've actually partnered with companies like Slick to try to work to trench it and have them lay those cables to, to provide that broadband. So to what Matt's saying, there might be some opportunities for public-private partnerships to help bridge the distance in areas like ours where it's rural and, like you mentioned, profitability is the key factor.
Well, these pole fees alone, you can imagine if you're running, 3-4 miles for houses, these pole fees start to eat into that DOT charges. So
that's what.
how about we go knock that down? If all the municipalities get together and we go to Albany and say, hey, within the blue line, we want you to omit this fee. Maybe that works. Maybe that helps expand the profitability, and the company say, yeah, we'll run right in here now, who knows? And you start chipping away at that stuff.
That's exactly what the article, Select talked about, was the cold feeds they have to compete with Verizon and so on, and how challenging that is.
Is that countywide or state?
State,
So we can, that resolution comes up, we can modify that to 5, and then,
Yeah,
okay.
sounds good. Anything else with this public hearing, otherwise we'll close it? Okay. We will close the public hearing. And we are on to committee reports. First up is Public Works, and Greg has decided, he asked him to join us, we still have an outstanding agreement for the water meter project, so we're going to talk about that a little bit here. And he also put together a report for the water and sewer projects that we have ongoing, so I'll let him update us.
2 minutes?
I'll interrupt.
2 minutes?
I'll interrupt
I
you.
always tell them two.
You can have a few more.
All right, let me just start with sewer quick. The only real update is, so the treatment plant is basically done. So the last committee meeting, we had the meeting afterwards to discuss the ventilation requirements at the treatment plant. So a couple of updates on that. I haven't had a chance to fully lay it out yet, but I've got updates on the timeframes of funding will be available from EFC with the big project going on now, what that'll roll into. So I'm gonna finish laying that out and bring it to the next committee meeting, just so that we have an idea of when timing will occur. Basically, because the last project was so big, there's times when the next project's gonna start. So I think it's in good shape. There's a couple of years out, but that's about the time it'll take to get a project together anyway. So I'll work on that and then bring that to the meeting to go over, just at least it's there laid out for us. And then the other thing we're talking about is what we call the temporary ventilation project, which was some temporary work, but also just some preliminary work, things that the most critical items to get done. Talked to Derek a little bit about it afterwards, and what we came up with was that we would rebid the project at some point later this fall, early winter. Basically, there was 4 rooms that we're working on. Pick one of the rooms, the most prominent one, probably the staffing area. Make that a base bid, make the other rooms basically an alternate, and then depending on where bids come in, how much we actually want to spend, we can do base bid or any of the alternates. And he thought something he'd probably pay for out of his budget / reserves. That should help, if we take it out of the big sewer project, that should help bring costs down, because there's a lot of costs in just the paperwork. And on those projects, that's not too big, it's kind of disproportionate on expenses. So my thought would be to do that way. So if that makes sense to you guys, I can finish putting together a plan for the next committee meeting of doing that. We're going to talk to a couple of contractors, figure out the best time to bid that work. I would assume they'd want to do that over the winter, but see how busy everybody is. So that kind of makes sense.
You do that room by room?
Yeah, basically we'd at least do the room where everybody, the office space front. And then we would bid all 4 rooms, just make 3 of them an alternate, and then we can see what places we could make a decision on that. So that'll get the worst things done at the plant for safety, particularly for health and safety, until we get to a bigger project and get the majority of the plant taken care of. So I think that'll make the most sense. And that really is the only thing. I mean, obviously the portage is going on. I hadn't heard anything in the last week or two, if there's any issues that popped up for you guys. As far as I know, everything's going as well as
The
possible.
gravel they're using to fill the holes in, it's got a lot of stone in it. I know they're running a sweeper pretty regular, but it's still got a lot of stone on the road.
So, okay.
I mean, they're using, it's not good gravel, it's gravel with stones in it, so you just drive over it and there's stones, on the road. And they're, quarter size and dime size stones, it's not like it's just the little bitty pieces of pebbles.
Yeah.
The tires just spin them up.
Tires spin up.
Tires just spin them up.
Right.
Stone surface.
Moving them over.
Yeah.
They should really be using a finer gravel as opposed, for the, at least for the topping, as opposed to, you know, using that coarse stuff coming all the way up.
When are they gonna blacktop?
I believe they're planning
It's
on,
gotta be soon, isn't it?
yeah, they were going to start down here and work their way behind themselves over the next week or so. And that they're, you know, they're gonna get as far as they possibly can, but leave enough time to finish blacktopping. You know, they should still have another month, but, you know, if things hold out for us, but yeah, they're gonna start fairly soon.
And that's still just local traffic, right? So it should be,
Right.
I know.
That's a joke. People are just zipping up and down that road. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I'll see what I can do about the gravel, I mean, that's kind of a standard gravel to use, but.
Is it under 4?
Yeah,
2 inches and down?
yeah,
It's okay when they first put it on, but after it gets pounded
Yeah.
down, that's when
Yeah.
the stones are coming up, and
And
then
it's-
that's when they brought the
it's-
sweeper out. Because it is nice when they first put it down, but once it's been traveled on, it got
I
pounded.
noticed by the post office a lot better than it was before.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot cleaner up through there than.
Parking spaces.
yeah, because you guys, I'm trying to remember, the item 4 that's sourced around here is a little bit different than typical. I think your guys is more rounded than angular, and
It's not crushed.
yeah, which it meets spec, but it does produce a little bit different material or qualities, and that may be part of it. I mean, the thing is, if we want to bring something else in, it's just a matter of can we actually source something that's
I'm
reasonable.
surprised motorcycle hasn't gone down.
Well, that's the issue.
Well, there's some, I just think there's some personal responsibility to using that road based on the barriers that are up on each end, that's all.
Supposed to work.
It is.
I mean, I get it, but it's
Yeah,
supposed to be minimal and local. Will they have the sewer laterals, are they working on those now?
I believe so. I didn't get a chance to check in to see their status,
Just
but
curious. Find out at the end of the month. I know you mentioned they thought they were gonna start that.
if they haven't yet, they're within a couple of days of doing so. They know they're working on their testing the manholes, but I'm pretty sure if they haven't started yet, they're within a couple of days of doing that.
And no update on the grant.
Same as so far as we can tell, everything that's out there is still being funded, so,
Yeah, that's, so, just another one.
yeah, exactly. So that's really all I had on sewer. So we're still working on, meeting with Derek next week, to discuss the annual report that's due for the wastewater plant, and working some planning into that, but that'll be kind of next steps, just keep that moving. So water, couple things. Just a couple things on the existing projects. The well 2 was repaired by the contractor and is working, so that both well 1 and well 2 were repaired, they're both working, so that's good. There's a little bit left to do for us to help Derek out on the chlorine system, but pretty much everything at the plant is done, including any warranty items. So there are 2 change orders, they're deduct change orders, they're not a lot of money, but a couple $1,000 to close out the 2 contracts. So we're basically done at the water plant with the current contracts and everything, other than if there's another warranty item or something that pops up, we'll deal with it, but other than that, everything's pretty well squared away on that.
What happened to the complaint from across the road about the noise or?
So we moved the unit out back, and as far as I know, I haven't heard anything. I know Derek had talked to him at some point afterwards. Yeah, I know, it still makes a noise, obviously, but it seems to have broken the protector. Yeah, so I think is, knock on wood, I think we've done the best we can do with that. And then just to skip down to, so the Veterans Road water main, I believe we found out that the OCR grant isn't going to work, the incomes in the area didn't qualify. So one of the things I want to do, and I got to, Matt, I just want to get with you and just figure out if it's feasible or not, but there's about $150,000 left in the main project to see if we can work it in getting that bridge crossing taken care of. I know it's eligible from a funding standpoint, but we got to
Seeker and things like that, right?
that's the stuff we gotta figure out, yeah. I think we have to update seeker.
Is that all part of the main funding from EFC?
It's eligible, I asked DOH a couple years ago if it was eligible, and he said yes, pending updates of seeker environmental and.
So just a question, I know, because we were trying to budget for the closeout, right? I don't know how, this is the first time we've gone through a project that's finished that you know, go from short-term financing to long-term. What's the typical time period for the transition when they determine, you know, what your amortized rate's gonna be for the next 30 years? I mean, if you're saying these last two change orders takes care of finalizing that, the bulk of the project, but there's still a window to utilize the additional
Yeah, right.
amount of money left over there, they'll keep that long-term open until we fully close it and then go out, or will they?
No. Everything's gotta be done, wrapped up.
Yeah, so,
No more receipts after you go to long term.
right,
Not like you get
So-
a pool of money.
yeah, so if we were to do this, and it would stay in short-term for like another time, for like, let's say till next year, because next year is when we're gonna do the culvert reconstruction, right? And so they're designing it this year, they're gonna build it out next year. So if this additional money is left
Yeah.
to be utilized to put that in, that would
I
also,
remember that.
You wouldn't be able to close for the long term now.
Right.
So you would have to hold open short term for another 6 months or 8 months.
so I'd wonder if that's up, you know?
I don't know.
Yeah, as I said, we had a chance to talk about it.
I just want to throw that out there, so what you're considering, I don't know if that's an option, if it'd be great if it is, but if it's.
And if not, then we've got to come up with another solution because the bridge is getting replaced next year.
Right,
So
that's-
I hadn't had a chance to talk to Matt, so I just throw this out now.
No,
So
I
We'll finish figuring out, as I said, there's money there, but whether it's actually available, it may not, it may be more work than it's worth too, so.
The issue with the Department of Justice was not the issue, but the requirement was that the supply was online by the end of 19, right? All the closeout stuff wasn't restricted to.
No, yeah.
All right, so,
Yeah.
so EFC there might still be a window that is still eligible for this additional usage of money that we've been, what do you want to say, qualified for, to be able to use it to its fullest extent on veterans, because that was one of the targeted areas that we were waiting to see, kind of like an alternate, if you will. So that's, aside from what Matt's saying with the seeker and the other related documentation that has to go into that particular part, we just need to check with EFC to see that they can
Yeah,
accept.
was this part of our project when we did the bond resolution?
It's borderline, I don't know.
I don't know, I know it was an alternate.
Borderline pregnant or? Borderline, I have COVID? Recent memory to me.
I don't know if we,
I don't think we did.
I don't think we did either.
Yeah, okay, so we have broader problems. All right, well.
That's the
then I
thing,
have
so like-
thought about it. Yeah.
It's worth one run down through to see.
Yeah.
There's a good chance it won't work, maybe it will. If not, we still have to come up with some alternative solutions. The bridge is getting ripped out in the spring, and you got a water line on it.
Yeah, right. We're going one way or another, we contend with that issue.
So,
Yeah.
so who, is it just a phone call to, like, I know Aline is no longer with that part of it, is she the one who would have to make that determination?
Yeah, our dog,
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So is that, we just need
we
to,
can figure this out. We should be an email.
Yeah, I was gonna touch base with you.
Sooner rather than later, because dog responds within seconds, but, yeah, see what.
I mean, put a few things together, get a team that can run it down, so we'll figure it out. It will, either will work or it won't, so.
right.
If it does, great, because we can get that done, and, you know, the last thing to get it closed out. If not, then we're ready to just close out the project.
Right. And I don't even know what the schedule is for next year's for the construction of it, but like you said, I mean, I guess 8 months would put us in midsummer next year, at this point, right? Roughly, beginning of summer. Okay.
So, other than that, I mean, the work itself is straightforward, but it's, you know, I'm going to pay for it, sorry.
What do we think the estimated cost is to do that work?
Well, you were thinking it was within the ballpark of what was the remaining, correct?
Yeah, I mean, it's not about long run, it's literally just a crossing, so I'm thinking it's somewhere around 100 to 120,000, somewhere in that range.
Zero interest and take advantage of the zero interest loan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it would, I think it's doable with money that's there, if the money's available for it. So, I mean, we'll finish writing it down, better answer for you guys next time. I just wanted to bring it up, so it's just something we do have to deal with, I don't forget about, so.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, we've done really well with that project with grant money and the loans, you know, and getting the FEMA money for the additional coverage, so, and the OCR money that was part of that as well. I mean, there's nearly $5 million in grants that was provided for that project, so
Yeah, we do
Oh,
a
yeah,
small bid for it.
By itself.
We do a little bit package for it, keep it pretty simple, it's pretty straightforward. I have structurally drilled over that and,
Yeah.
use that here. So, the other piece I wanted to come down and talk about was I sent you a proposal for the water meter, basically planning contract to do the data collection. So two parts, so one is setting up a GIS system for the town. We'll utilize it to do the work for the meter project, all the data collection that's involved in that, and then it would be set up for you guys to use for other departments, particularly set up for water sewer, but other departments can be added to it for things like tracking where culverts are, and you can do pretty much anything with it. You can do service call outs, you can do anything like that with street signs. But initially, it'd be for collecting data about all the services for the meters, and then as the meters go in, collecting that data as they're tracking that part of it. And then the bulk of the work was to do the data collection, which what we're going to do is go out, work with Derek's guys to locate all the water shutoffs for each house, or determine if they don't have any. I'd like to try to determine as much as possible if people have problems with their services or not, and if they need a meter pit or not, so that we can try to fix as many problems as we can with people's laterals, because there are grants out there, programs out there to do so. So that way, the idea would be if we're putting meters in, we also add value to the system and try to help people out with problems, because if people are running their water all winter, it's something that they would have to contend with a meter, and if we fix those problems with some different grant programs. There's good grant programs that are closer to 100% grant for some of those, for eligible properties. That's kind of my goal in trying to put the effort into doing some data collection. I'd like to get started on it, because as we're doing the grant applications for the program, one thing we need to contend with is all the seekers and all the environmental programs, and we need some of that data to be able to do that. So that's kind of my proposal. But I realized in looking at the way that it was set up, so if you are reading through my contract, the very last page has you actually don't want to read it. That was my original letter to the board of just kind of the idea. It didn't have fees with it, so it looks like there's no fees associated with this. The actual contract is set up where the fee proposal is actually in the middle of it. It's on like page 41. It's just the way the contracts are set up. I don't know why they put the money part of it in the middle of the contract. It makes it hard to read. But so the proposal for the work was, I think it was about $100,000.
In case you're looking at reading that contract last month. So you know you probably have it in front of you now. Just for
No, it's in there.
right?
Before.
Yeah.
About 99,750.
Yeah, just under. So I think it was about 23,000 was the GIS, and 75 was for the data collection. So I don't know that that's going to be everything that needs to be done to get the project out. I'm sure there'll be some work. There'll be some work for actual bid set and other things, but the intent was the majority of the work's data collection part of it.
And homes that are part of the lead line grant, you would do like this work at the same time.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah. So that's what I put out there. I said I'd like to get started on it. If it's something you guys are talking about now, it'd be great. If it's something you need to think about, that's fine. I just would like to start working on this fall before winter comes in. Get some of the work ahead of time so we can keep the paperwork moving and whatnot. But
In our timeline, we have to have the system in by 24,
24, 25.
I know we kind of were talking about it in 19.
I think it's 24. I think it's spring of 24. We're planning on basically next year being the design funding year, and then 2 years. It's 2 solid years of construction to put them all the meters in. Obviously, with everything happening, things may change, but for the time being, that's a DEC mandated time frame.
I'd say we could go on then.
Yeah.
The other thing was the funding. I know we were talking about USDA.
Yeah.
That was one of the funding sources.
Yep, so the application, we're working on it now, working on this other thing I'm really on is seekers and all that good stuff for getting that stuff going.
Okay.
We're getting it drafted, not really on it.
Now, I'll draft up the EAF and the findings.
Yeah. The hard part with all that stuff is they want you to have all your answers ahead of time to do all the environmental stuff, so we're working on getting as much collected as we can. But the sooner we get all that stuff done, the easier all the funding applications go. So once we get some of that stuff done, then those applications will go in. What the game plan is put into USDA. They'll give us back a funding package. I don't expect it to be a home run. They don't give you tons of grant dollars, but they do give you some. But it's a good baseline package. What I'm hoping is at some point next year, some grant programs come back out, we can go after some others. We'll weigh it against ESC and the other ones. But the nice part about RD is it's a little bit of background work. They don't hold it against you if you don't end up taking the money. So we'll get the package. If it's something that's great, it works, wonderful. And if not, then we can keep going and adding to it. So that way we're shaking every tree.
So are you looking for authorization to start doing the data collection and spending that money?
Yeah, basically authorization for the contract proposal to do that and do the data collection. So I've actually started working on it to some degree in the background, but to formally do it.
That require a resolution?
Yeah, it's in here. I have it.
You have it in?
Yeah, the third one is in. But I know we hadn't talked about it in a while, bringing it up on various things. We had so many other things that kind of come and take precedence, so it came down today just to kind of help to move it forward so they can get action on it for the winter.
And that's the plan, using the remote water meters, so we can do the data collection without,
We had to make a decision, right?
Yeah, there'll be a few decisions we need to make. I don't necessarily need that decision now. That's more of a bidding decision, but yes, I mean, that's what we're aiming for.
okay.
One of the things I'd like to talk about, because that project also includes Defiance Tank and the bypass water line. Again, we don't have to decide to do them until we see what money we have available to us, but from an environmental side, we want to include all of those in there, so they're ready to go. So there's a couple of decisions to be made. I'll bring up the next committee meeting, we can decide.
This one's kind of it's being called the water meter project, but it's got other infrastructure improvements as well as reservoir improvements and operational changes that can take place to the whole system. So,
Because Baldwin will drop off when we do that,
well,
correct?
it could, yeah.
Or at least gives you the opportunity to do so, or
And you know, the thing that, Dave and Joyce sat through it, but obviously Mark, you and Tom hadn't, but when we had the contract, the companies here, showing the differences between the two systems, that might not be such a bad thing to go through one more time to kind of hone in on, just so you guys can be aware, because there's 3 different systems, and the 2 that we were looking at was the GIS, where it's, just pings out there and gets the readings back without having to send someone out door to door, or to send someone in a vehicle to kind of, collect them as they drive in the neighborhood. But obviously there's a cost associated with that, so it might be a good thing to go through that so that we can make sure we're all on the same page for which one makes the most sense for our community.
yeah, I can we can easily bring back the meter companies. I mean, one nice thing is they've got good sales teams, so they're always keen to come sell their products, so that's not a big deal.
And probably once you get more of that information collected, then maybe they can even give us a more refined knowledge of what those options would be. Because that's
Actually, very specifically, because
right.
one of the things they have to do for the remote data collection, they do a big propagation study, basically a radio study to see because they put collectors around town.
Exactly.
They have to do that study. They'll do it for free for us.
Site is.
Yeah, but they need to know what our final.
How much
user
data
base is.
do you have to get into? I mean, each individual line, the size?
Each house,
No, we could, but I don't think we need to do that. That's a waste of time. So what my goal is to basically set a data point in GIS for each home. We'll attach whatever information we're able to get. If the person out there, the homeowner comes out and says, hey, I know what I'm looking at, we'll write it down, we'll have it. But what we'll do when we bid it is we'll bid as an estimated number for each size, and we'll update it as we go in construction. What I do want to run down though is, if we know they have problems, they don't have a basement or something like that, we have to put a meter pit in. I would like to run down some of the bigger properties, some of the commercial, some of the hotels and apartment buildings. Are we getting master meters? We need individual meters, things like that. some of the bigger commercial ones, just to know sizes, because those are more expensive. But we did most of that actually for the commercial district with the older water project. We put PRVs in most of those, so we have most of that information. So, it's one of the things, the more information we have in the bid, the more accurate it is, but we don't want to spend too much time ahead of time, because we can deal with the dirt infraction. So, trying to find the balance between the two.
This included what we listed, the EFC?
Yes, we just listed it.
Yeah.
Didn't list it.
So we, in the short term here, we also had that discussion with the EFC as to how we're gonna fund these, because we have two listings. B&L put one in for Chilson and Eagle Lake for drinking water, and we've got this one listed too. And we can't necessarily, I mean, you can have as many projects as you want, but ultimately, there's gonna come a question of priority. And whether or not we can combine them somehow into one listing and fund them for two different things. You know, they're not connected physically. But that's I have the number for the guy at DOH, I talked to him.
The
These,
timeline is similar. I mean,
Exactly.
really, so, and that'll make sense for discussion purposes and for, it's,
Yeah.
when they need to be executed on aren't too far apart.
no. Well, and from that perspective, if we did do a district on Chilson Eagle Lake, they would probably be required to be on the water meters as well. So in some ways, there is a kind of a natural tie-in between the two projects.
Yeah, we'll have to have some revision for that.
Right.
Yeah.
The 5-year period?
And we're working on it.
Yeah, okay, that's what I was.
Yeah, I got some information from it the other day too,
I
so
don't know if
we'll,
you guys, Dave, I don't know, Dave and Joyce might be somewhat aware from just the past, but, you know, they basically like a 5-year window of opportunity to, between when you receive your first award and what they offer you before you're eligible for the next big offering of you know, grant monies and loans. Is that articulated better than I can, but it's not like you can keep putting this stuff in year after year and assume you're gonna get it. There's a certain frequency with which, you know, they wanna see these things spaced out. It just so happens that unfortunately for us, we're up against a DOJ order with Chilson Eagle Lake, and we're also on a New York State order for the water meters, right? So it's like, same time, so it'd be great if there could be some way to get those together and allow them to be considered the same listing.
well, yeah, exactly, both projects are kind of a similar stage. We've done the first round of planning and engineering on them. Now comes the tricky part.
Yeah.
You know, if you think about the first water project, this first phase was done in 2009. We didn't have funding in place until 2016, totally. So that took that long on that one. This is probably almost more complicated in some ways, although we've got it all done now, so it's a little easier.
You mean the water supply project?
Yeah.
Well, that
I mean, it had its own things. Maybe just think about it. It took that long to do. We don't have that much time.
no, you're right.
So, but still, we're at a good point, got a good team here, and it just, this is the part that needs to be figured out now. There's not one clear-cut answer. It'll come together eventually, but,
Right.
so that's the next, those are the next steps. I mean, the engineering side of it's almost easy at this point. It's the funding and planning and all that we'll figure out, so. Okay, we'll work on it. As we need decisions, we'll make them. I've got a few to be made. I've got a few things we can run down, and we'll go from there. We'll keep working on it. So I think that's all I had at this point.
Do you guys have any questions on, I mean, the two change orders are merely money back to the town because the monies that were allowances that weren't spent? And then anything on this contract? Any questions on?
I'm comfortable with it because we, you know, we talked about some of this water and sewer and, we, you know, it was coming and we answered this question, and then I'm comfortable with it.
So you need a resolution
Yeah, well,
for each one?
we'll just go ahead and go through that. Greg pretty much covered all of most of the minutes, so. Resolution to approve change order number 7 to Gallo Construction Corporation. That's AES Project 4323, Wellfield Control Building. Project for final plus minus reconciling of unused general allowance in the amount of $167.58.
I'll move it.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Another change order resolution, this is change order number 4 to Stilsing Electric, same project, the Wellfield Control Building, for final plus minus reconciling of unused general allowance in the amount of $2,519.00. approve the AES Professional Services Agreement for investigations, design, and construction administration for the installation of water meters for district users. That's going to be AES Project 4898.
I'll move it.
Second.
Any discussion on that?
No, we've copied it on, and that's just, rare. That just, that's a contract they have, correct?
Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So carried. Anything else? Okay. Thanks, Greg, for coming down.
Thank you.
Thank
Now, I
you.
got to put it next week on.
Just, Greg, where do we stand on the unit we bought from Lake George Avenue funds? The Vortex unit.
Working, getting a submittal from the supplier to approve. Bringing it in.
Okay. Thanks, Greg.
Store it at your house. You can store it at your house.
Next up is airport. We met earlier this week. Some of the highlights, we sold just under 1,000 gallons in September. We're working on providing the data to the FAA's new submission program for nighttime approaches. And also looking to update the signs and the paperwork and the box for pilots and so forth as they come in. There was some talk also about providing reopening for more fill to be used at the airport, so we've got to work with the APA on our jurisdictional access. There was some further discussion on the gate code and coming up with changing it, and then the frequency with which we continue to change it. But also make sure that our current pilots that are flying in there have access, as well as the emergency services. We did some runway repairs last week. Dave had been working with the contractor to ensure that our runway cracks have been sealed. And that was slated for rehab in 2022 and 23.
Did they finish that, that early approved? Carol?
Yeah. That's all. You were Davies, as in, yeah.
Oh, yes, yeah. Thought you thought it was you.
No, well, I
Oh, both, yeah.
well, you haven't been out there with us. Yeah. Some of those cracks were pretty deep.
They were like 6-7 inches deep, they had to go up. And then once it settled, it was left to, it shrunk back down, they had to come back down again.
Brian was doing a runway light check for replacements, and we're looking to order some more fuel here before we head into the winter season. Get ourselves prepared for next year, and then we'll fill up again in the spring. So just our biennial replenishment. Next meeting is actually not till the 18th of November, so usually we are on the first Tuesday of the month, but we're going to postpone it. First Tuesday is election day, and we're going to move it till after the middle of the month. So we'll probably not have a meeting in December. That's kind of why we're doing it. And that's all I have for airport. We'll move on to public safety and Dave.
On the 29th, following members of myself, Mark Russell, Leanna Peters, Jennifer Jan, and Adam Hall. Guests were Mark Wright, Joyce Cooper, Harold Town, Pam Savage, Tom Cunningham, and Joe Giordano. The meeting was called to order at 8 o'clock with a pledge. Councilman Rose opened the floor to the public. There was no public participation. Chief Hulbert went over the monthly report and discusses the possibility of replacement of 7B377. See attached report. Dave asked the protocol for Halloween will be. Chief Hulbert states nothing set in stone as a curfew just yet. Rihanna introduced the new building inspector, Dave Burrows, and also goes over monthly codes report. Mark Russell voices where we were with the water issue on Racetrack Road, states that we will contact Garrett for more information. Meeting was adjourned at 8:13, next meeting is October 27th. And the chief's report is, he had approximately 578 calls to service, 34 incident reports, 38 arrests, uniform traffic tickets 101, DWI arrest 2, Accidents investigated 7. The speeds trailer is currently located on Shore Airport Road. Excuse me. Trainings, they recently held a shooting qualification training at the Department shooting range. All Ticonderoga police officers successfully qualified for their duty weapons. Patrol Unit 7B377 needs to be replaced. The vehicle currently has over 100,000 miles and been in base Sunoco for the past few weeks with unknown issues. Garage stated that he could possibly need a new engine. That's it.
Okay.
Joe, since Dave mentioned Halloween in this report, are we taking any stand on trick or treating?
That's in Mark's report. Or at
Okay,
least
good.
I have a resolution there for that, so.
Okay,
we can
good.
talk about that for the youth.
Oh, yeah, I see.
I sent you
Sorry.
though, I did send you the report to the Department of Health.
Yeah, I thought, well, we can talk about that.
Yeah, we can now, if you want, that's fine.
Unless Joyce, I think Joyce would be a good person to lead the recruiting effort, and we could put on your committee.
You didn't receive that, right, the Department of Health?
Yeah, and we could put that on our website, maybe I'll send a PDF to that, we could put a few around town. Just has some good general information around, social distancing, COVID. Yeah.
I think the big takeaway, I mean, obviously, we're looking to do, as other towns are, trick or treating on Halloween. We haven't done this in the past, but we're looking to set a start and end time. And, obviously this year, because we're in this pandemic, traditional door-to-door trick or treating is considered more of a higher risk thing. So they had some suggestions about, obviously, social distancing and wearing masks. I'm sure people will be wearing masks anyways, besides these masks and other costumes. But certainly finding different ways in which to pass out candy without the traditional, coming up face to face right at the door, whether you leave it out on a table or.
It'd be gone.
Well, that's true. But anyway, so there is a nice handout in the past. I sent it off to the chamber. They're going to be putting out information, promoting it. But anyway. We'll jump into highway transfer station, Tom.
Yeah.
And I got those 2 resolutions typed up here, so when you're ready, we can do those as well.
Okay. Present on the committee was myself, Dave Woods, Sal Barneo, Mitch Cole, and John Deming. Others present was Joe Giordano, Joyce Cooper, Mark Russell, Greg Swart, Jocelyn Reset, Mark Wright, Pam Savage, and Harold Town. We started with the Pledge of Allegiance. There was no public discussion. In the committee discussion, it was reported that the town has full complement of winter sand and salt. Expense to date was $249,512.26 on salt, and $6,223 on sand. It was agreed that for future meetings, Sal would submit a list of work done for the prior month to the committee meeting, so we would have a list of what he's done month to month. So we will be doing that going forward. The handicap parking lot on the east side of Gunness Falls National Bank is removed, and a new one is to be put in front of the bank and to be painted, because the handicap parking apparently is not authorized on an incline, so it has to be on a flat surface.
Can I just interject? The handicap symbol is still on there.
Yeah, they haven't removed it yet, but it's on their list of things. The handicap signal needs to be removed and then put it up on an area that's flat. The handicap space cannot be on the incline. The highway crew now covers the manholes around town to repair, be ready for snow plowing, so we don't damage them with the plow blades. That's an ongoing effort. We're still looking into the joint funding of a brine making unit, I think. Have you had any
Well,
discussion?
we actually passed a resolution back in June. I was trying to understand when you put that in the last set of minutes. So we passed a resolution back in June as one of the partnering municipalities, and then Lake George watershed agreement that Matt had drafted for the fund, and then, I don't know for the fund, but for the municipalities around the lake. So we already contributed that money, $5,000.
It's traveling around there to make, and they'll make the batch, right?
Yeah,
It's
I
a
think
batch processing unit.
you take your own salt, they bring the brine maker here, so you can free to make it, and then you just distribute it back. But the brine, the amount you make is supposed to last for, you know,
So that unit has been purchased by the,
I don't know that it's been purchased by the, you know, by, I think it's out of Lake George Village, I think that's they're the parent of the entire consortium, or whatever they call it around
I
the
thought
lake.
we had one.
We have a brine distributor,
Yeah,
this is the brine
Brine
maker.
maker.
all the maker.
But they were getting money from, I think, the fund, and then all the municipalities were matching to that. So I can reach out to them and find out the status of that, but we had already agreed, and I think we already paid to have that done. So is that what you're asking?
yeah, the question is where is it? And, you know, Sal is aware of it, so we need to kind of make that connection so that if he's gonna use it, he knows how to get it and how to coordinate getting it.
Yeah, usually they have, they've had meetings set up quarterly that the superintendents have attended. I know there's one that I attended, because Sal couldn't be there. But usually that's how they get that word out, or they make a phone call, and, you know, because every community that's contributed obviously has an opportunity to use it, so. But I'll touch base with, I don't know if it's Mark so much as it's Dave Wick. I think he was the one who was with the Lake George Park Commission.
Okay.
I think he was assisting with that, so. But I know, now that I understand what you're looking for.
Does each municipality have one? Or do they just share this?
There's two different pieces. One goes on the back of the truck for the distribution.
That's what I meant,
We have that. That was given to us through a grant,
yeah.
something like this. This is a brine making unit, so rather than have to make a brine somewhere else and haul it up, and we have to pick it up.
Okay, so
Yeah,
it stays here.
no, it's
Moves
shared.
around.
Oh,
It's
it's
shared,
a shared thing.
But it's the brine maker, so it's like
Yeah.
an ice cream maker. If you want to bring it here, you take your salt, you put it in, you mix it up, it turns it into brine, and then you store it in a tank. We get like a, I don't know, 5,000 gallon tank, some large tank that we use. So that way we don't have to haul 5,000 gallons worth of brine from wherever else we can do it. We can make it right here. It's more convenient. That's basically the essence of it. So I'll look into that. I'll get back to you next time.
We decided to put off purchase of a street sweeper until next year, or at least take delivery of it until next year. Dave Woods and Sal are getting quotes for sidewalks that need repairing. That's an ongoing issue, and the highway department is going to put together a list of sidewalks in order of priority to be paved, or new concrete, not paved necessarily.
That's, I didn't interrupt you, but that's like, I've asked 3 different contractors. And Ernie said he wouldn't give me a price on it, but I had
They would
one.
not.
Would. He's the only one that would, but he hasn't done it as yet. But Gallup Construction and another one,
How about that one from that was doing St. Mary's?
and, no, I asked.
They said no.
I took them up to the highway garage and I took them around the sidewalk, and they were all enthused.
Yeah.
You know, I'll send the guy up and they called me and said, you know, can you come up to me? I said, just talk to Sal. He never showed up.
Gotcha.
Boy, missionaries, how do you get somebody?
I can't imagine.
There was $480 for 16 feet of sidewalk. We had a $100,000 grant, so it was, so I mean, it's a fair amount. I mean, it's worth bidding on.
Yeah.
It's not like
Right.
we're doing 10 feet of a clip or something.
Right.
Well, we were also talking about putting money in the budget for that as well.
Right.
I don't know, 50 is,
I mean, that's what we were trying to get an idea of what some of the
right, the dollar per foot.
dollars per foot.
Definitely Lake George Avenue.
Yeah.
$480 for 16 feet. But
Okay.
that's
Okay.
one, but I'm still trying to.
I'm surprised that that company wouldn't come down on it. They worked on the churches.
Yeah.
So it seemed like this would be much bigger project, but.
Call me tomorrow.
Yeah, reach out to Big Peter, I don't know if Peter Rio was helping out in Liquor Street and after the church as part of the parish council. So
Well, I've got that, I got that.
yeah, okay.
I can hit it again, see.
Yeah, I think it's worth it. Okay.
Okay,
All right.
the new transfer building is in place, and at the time of the meeting, was waiting for electric service to be hooked up from the old building. As you know, there's been some ongoing repairs and upgrades to the highway building and Racetrack Road. Dave Woods and Sal Barneo are working to get quotes to completely rehab that building and submit to the new committee on town facilities for comparison to building a new highway building. So we'll get some quotes, and we'll start looking at that cost compared to new buildings and see how we're gonna move forward on that.
The transfer station's done.
It's complete.
They're gonna paint the inside tomorrow.
Okay, good, good. It was agreed that the Mount Count Street crosswalks need to be painted to allow for safe pedestrian crossing. I think that's been completed as well. There might be one or
Still one?
one that needs to be done, I think.
It's a busy one.
It was recommended not to accept the offer from Mr. Stippo to take over the road to his house, so that's been put to bed. I don't think we need to do anything more on that. It was also agreed that a member of the highway department be present at the bi-weekly project progress meeting being held every other Thursday at 9 o'clock in the morning. And then the resolutions.
They're in your, well, the first one's in your packet, under Caterpillar.
Yeah. We'll get back to that.
I tried to, I talked to Sal this morning to get all the particulars together,
Yeah.
contract number and everything, because this is
Yeah.
it's through state contract, so.
Right. So a resolution to purchase a 2020 Caterpillar 938M wheel loader with several accessories, with the New York State OGS and GPA contract, number PC 66988, in the amount of $161,142, after a trade-in credit of $55,000 of the current loader, which is declared surplus, and with funds to come from the Highway Capital Reserve through expense line DA 5110.210, highway machinery, equipment, and capital outlay.
I'll move it.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. And then the other two, I'll have you like, to find the first one. So I have, every year we enter into an annual contract with New York State DOT for snow and ice removal. Just local municipalities helping out the state with, state and also county as well. This is for the state though. So I have a resolution to enter into that contract for the 2020-2021 snow season, snow and ice removal in the amount of $123,811.89. It's a few $100 more than what it was last year. And they basically break it out by labor, materials, and equipment.
I'll move it. Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. And then the last one that Tom mentioned in his report was a resolution to surplus the existing street sweeper and 2 pickup trucks, and we'll just get those years and models to make sure we make them complete in the minutes. And I don't know, do you have anything else, Tony, with that?
Wasn't there one other piece of equipment?
The grade out's already been done, right?
I thought we did that.
I thought we did the grade out.
Do we need to add it to resolution to put it up for auction though, or not?
What do you do if that's what you're gonna,
That's what he wants to
We're
do.
surplusing this, and then you want to put all these to auction? That's a separate resolution.
that's a separate resolution.
Is that what Sal wants
That's
to
what he
do?
wants to do.
Okay, so we'll add,
But does he wanna do, you don't know if he wants to do the trucks and,
The pickup trucks, I'm not sure if he wants to auction them off or get rid of them locally. I'm not sure. But the great all and the sweet keeper, he wants to put up for auction,
great on.
for sure.
So I would put the grade on the street sweeper in this for an auction, and then we can find out.
We do the
about
pickup
trucks
truck later.
We do a separate one.
Say it one more time, sorry, just looking for. Done that before.
Just take out the 2 pickup trucks and substitute grade on, but that we're gonna just, through this time we sent through the auction.
Mhm.
All right, so surplus to street sweeper and grade off. not two,
No, you're gonna surplus the street sweeper and the 2 pickup trucks.
and the great all.
Well, the great all, he said, has already been
All right,
done.
You can still do it again.
Let's do it again, 'cause I was gonna say
Okay.
resolution.
So we want to surplus all of them.
All 4 items.
Yeah,
Okay, and then you wanna have just a street sweeper and the great all go to auction.
option.
All right, so the resolution to surplus those 4 items,
I'll move it.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
So carried, and then a resolution to take to auction the street sweeper and the great all,
I'll move it.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Okay. We'll just get back to Tanya with the year model. Tom?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. And the meeting then was adjourned at 10:05.
Moving right along. Buildings and grounds.
I'm just going, there's nothing much in building. The 88 building will be repaired, then done, the 2 pylons has been laid on. The roof on the vault at the cemetery is leaking, I've got guys up there looking at that, that's gonna be addressed soon. The library furnace, conked out again, we had to get that fixed. And the Trestle Bridge and park lights need repair, and that's gonna be done in the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
That's it.
Since you mentioned the trestle lights, I've got it on my minutes too. Is it possible, are those, Tom, you probably know, are those LED lights?
I believe that they are. I have information on them upstairs at my office.
Because if they aren't, they should be. Yeah,
I mean, we can talk about this another time, but
okay, just a question I have.
you have to look up the paperwork in the office.
Dave just have, not excavated, do we have that?
No.
He does last year.
Okay, because I think I just,
That replaced straight off.
right, but we had in here to include the great all as a trade-in. Is it still sitting up there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Can't
it
find.
says in there that
Well, a resolution from last year said it, so I'm not quite sure.
It got moved in.
Approve the
back
purchase of a
to-
2018 Caterpillar wheeled excavator
yeah,
in associated work tools and attachments from the same company, Milton Cat, through state contract, and to include the 2003 Great All XL 3100 trade-in for the total cost.
is there an
So
amount they gave us?
They probably didn't want
I guess I don't.
She's probably right.
Well, that's, I guess, I don't know, so, yeah, I don't know, I never followed up on this, I just assumed that after we passed it, it was.
No, he said he still got it, and he wants to get rid of it.
And there's no amount in that though, right, what they were gonna give us?
They didn't give it an amount for what you said, but I didn't, yeah, I probably.
Maybe they meant that we should pay them to.
What's that, a rust bucket yet?
It is bad.
So they probably can take the parts though, right? It's still got some
They
value.
still use, they still work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know, so anyway, you might want to just
I'll
inquire.
ask him. Yeah,
to.
I'll
It's
ask
going to
him.
auction now.
Yeah, it is, I know, but I just didn't know, that was, I just kind of thought it was still there, but anyway.
Come on, Joyce.
Okay, moving on to Parks and Rec.
Cutting
Besides,
comments over here are dry.
Sorry.
mentioning that we had a couple visitors at our last meeting, we had Monty Benedict, his mother Helen, and Mark Wright also. And the reason the Benedicts were there is because Monty is proposing the Eagle Scout project. He came to ask our permission to repair and improve the town's basketball courts on Brookline Road. The work would include power washing the blacktop, repainting the courts, repair the basket rims and backboards if necessary, and replace the basket nets. He would also like to place several benches and trash receptacle near the courts. The committee approved the project, and he said he would begin before the end of the year. I'll skip the Trestle Bridge. Bicentennial Park, we've had some issues. As you may or may not know, we've had a set of bollards to go in the entrance to the park. We've had them for at least 2 years. And they're removable bollards that can come out when we have a big event like the 4th of July or the car show. And they've been sitting up at the highway garage. Grant has agreed to put them in, but there's a problem there in that DigSafe would not tell him, or would not come and tell whether or not it was safe to dig there. And I talked to Dick Crossman about it because he's done a lot of electrical work in the park, and he said he didn't say much because it's not feeling well, so I didn't really get an answer from him. So Grant is willing to go ahead and get the bollards in. Okay? Okay.
Well, why would they say not come? I mean,
I don't know, I
they
didn't
have to
understand
come.
that.
I mean, you make a request, but they say they
They
have to
said they have
come.
no lines there.
A what?
I think they said there were no lines there.
It's not their lines.
Not their lines.
Right.
Okay, so it would be, if it was something, some infrastructure in there, it would be something the town put in and they wouldn't know about. So if we dig it up, it's our problem.
I wouldn't say we know about them, but,
Or-
yeah, I think they have figured it out,
Okay.
how they're gonna get these in.
Yeah. And that's pretty much in the area where they did the daylight stream.
Okay.
Last year and the year before. So but I'll be very happy to get the bollards up because it will keep people from driving their cars on the walking paths. The playground, I understand that a child was injured when the swing chain came off the S-hook. Grant did check the equipment and he noted that the hook appeared to have been vandalized and he made the necessary repairs. However, because the wooden playground equipment is old and not up to today's safety standards, and it also requires a yearly repair, the committee decided it was time to remove the wooden structure holding the swings. And I think you have to have 2 feet between the swings, and that's not there. A little history on that, I'm a Kiwanis member, and Kiwanis put that equipment in, but they put it in the early 1990s. And we had a problem a couple years back because it's formaldehyde, so they had to paint the structure so that the kids would not be exposed to that. And then every year there's nails and things sticking out, so it's time to go. I did bring it up at the Kiwanis meeting today, and nobody turned pale and fainted, so Kiwanis is not unhappy with the decision. They will help with the installation of the new swing set. And the money for the swing set will come partially from my Parks and Rec budget, but also Cycle Adirondacks, that was sitting in the park last year, has given, I don't know who they gave the money to, I think the chamber has the money, but it's $700, which is supposed to be used on the playground. So that's what we're going to do with that money. Drainage, well, it hasn't in the park, it really hasn't been much of an issue this year because it's been a drought. The culvert on the east end of the park was replaced last year and appears to have solved the drainage issues on the east side near the sewage treatment plant. The area east of the playground and the pavilion is still a concern. The committee decided that the highway department will be asked to remove a section of the walkway, put down a base that will allow more drainage, and replace the walkway with a wider section of blacktop. And we're going to schedule that for late next spring, and I've already talked to Sal about it. Mount Home Cemetery, Dave sort of talked about that already. It's still being researched. I'm talking about Mount Home Cemetery, but I didn't say that. It's still being researched how much money is available for paving at the cemetery through funds received through the State Division of Cemeteries. Sal has given a quote to pave all the road surfaces, but we don't know if there's enough money in that fund available. And Dave, as he mentioned, is working on the moisture problems. And Grant hopes to be able to work on the cornerstone sometime during the shoulder season. If you haven't been up there, the biggest problem probably is the number of downed gravestones that are there. Some date back more than 200 years. And Dave is going to ask some local contractors for a bid to do this work, which is putting it back on. It's a big cemetery and it's got some big problems, so take a ride up there sometime. There's a lot of history there too. A couple of things have happened since Parks and Rec met the last time. I talked a lot about the pocket park, and I'm concerned about because it's the main entrance to the Lachute Trail off of Montcalm Street. We're trying to decide, and we had this discussion with Matt last time, as to who owns the roadway that goes into. Are you with me? We talked about it at the last meeting. I'm not sure if you know where I'm talking about. The pocket park is across from Lachute Square. Okay. And there's a parking area right behind it. The people are really getting bad about their parking. They're parking on the grass, they're parking and sticking out of the driveway and so on. So I would like to see it posted, no parking here to the corner. It's also, as Bill has explained, it should be a fire lane anyways. But we don't know for sure who owns it. I did go up and see the Patty, the assessor, and I got one of the deeds. I brought it with me, but I don't know where it is right now. It does make some mention of the roadway map, so I don't know if that's, it sounds like the access had to continue for the roadway, but there's another deed that I'm going to have to go up and have Patty make a copy of that for me too to see. And then I'm working with John Deming to talk about it because he did the most recent survey of the area too to get some idea. There's all sorts of permanent and temporary easements going through that area. It's a mess in terms of who owns what. But if we do find that the town owns the property, then we can go ahead and post it, no parking. A complaint was also, this is another area, a complaint was received regarding lake access off of Tin Pan Alley. And I know where Tin Pan Alley is, but I'd never been there until recently. And what I discovered when I went up there, the Tin Pan Alley is a very narrow street. And I don't know what the town access is there, but really it's a one-lane road going in there. And at the end of that road, there's a barrier, some concrete barriers there, and the town owns that area. In other words, there's lake access there. But everything else around it is all private property. And the complaint was that the property that the town owns is not being maintained. It was full of weeds. And I don't know where we go with this one, to tell you the truth. I know that Tin Pan Alley has been talked about in some of the highway meetings, but I didn't really understand until I went up there to look at it, that it really is a problem, because I had to back up to get out of there. And so I had to use that private driveway to turn around and get out of there. Joe, have you been up there?
No, I didn't know where it's at, but I haven't.
It's off of Water Street. Tin Pan Alley goes from the Portage actually over
Yeah.
to the lake, and
But
it's,
the actual area down to the water, I haven't seen that.
and there's a small little piece of the town owns
Right.
at the end of the road. That's my understanding. So I think maybe I need to go ask the question at the next highway meeting too, because they have talked about, I think they've had some problems plowing there. Am I correct, Tom? You probably will know. No? I know it's been talked about. And there's a brand new house there, and they've got a big actually, they're all new houses right around us, so.
Well, that was an existing house, they just,
Yeah, they tore it down. It looks like they tore it down and built a new one. But there's about 4 houses right on Tin Pan Alley, and it's very, very narrow. I don't know how they plow. So the problem has not been solved.
What's the big?
There's probably a question of, where that road runs and where those homes are too, so there's a setback, and there's all of that being, that should probably be looked into.
But the reason the complaint was, the person said that he felt that the town was guaranteed lake access through there, that people could launch their kayaks or canoes through there. I don't know where they would store their cars or their boats. I mean, there's trailers if they trailer or whatever.
that was never designated a site to launch anything.
Yeah, not, at least since I've been here.
No, that's what I told you earlier, it was never designated, and I think you
What should it be? It's just,
leave that.
yeah.
I'm just wondering
Just a highway,
why we own it.
It's,
The highway.
It's a dead-end highway.
And I wouldn't, that's a whole other offline discussion, but, yeah.
Okay.
So it's never been designated as, and actually, as Connie has pointed out, they have canoe and kayak access through the boat launch. And we could also put that lane in at the beach so that people can launch up there too, so.
If it's not needed for emergency vehicles, then should the discussion be at some point about just blocking it off at water?
I think it is blocked off. I think there's
There's a couple of concrete barriers, they don't go all the way across.
K barriers are there.
I think it's hard to see because it's so overgrown right now, so,
Future discussion.
yeah. Well, just to let you know that there was a complaint about it.
So Tin Pan Alley is being used as, off of private driveways off of
Right.
the road.
Yeah.
But just the fact that it dead ends and it's happens,
Dead ends.
it just happens to be next to the lake. People have given thought to the fact that it could be a place where you could drop your boat in, which is not how it should go.
That's the way it was presented to me. So,
Okay.
okay. And at the last minute, I can't remember which meeting, maybe it was this meeting that Laura mentioned, Laura Wright was here and mentioned there were very few benches along the scenic area of the Lachute Trail, and I was over there the other day, and it is true there aren't. So I will look at the purchase of at least one bench along that area. There's also it's a beautiful area, and I'd like to go and see them myself.
I talked to Alicia Bartlett, the new executive director for Pride. She's working with the county. We had received some waterfront grant money
Mhm.
in joint partnership with other
Mhm.
towns in the county. So they're looking to acquire some more. I guess the next round of there's an opportunity, I'll leave it at that. I asked her to come to the next building and grounds to kind of brief
Okay.
you, and I think she's gonna reach out to you directly, Joyce, just to let you know, but that might be an opportunity. I don't know what it was geared for. I think it might have been some of those signage,
Yeah,
you
there's,
know.
Laura also mentioned there's some vandalism on the signs. I haven't checked all of those out yet.
Right, so anyway, there's an opportunity there, maybe, for some funding to do that.
I think they actually probably got the money to put the interpretive signs that are on the kiosks that are there.
Probably, yeah.
I think they did, because I don't think it ever came through Parks and Rec. One thing, if we do put more benches on the trail, the ones that are there now are aluminum, and one of them is badly dented up. I think we need to go with a more sturdier bench. I'd like to, the ones that are like over here at the Daylight Stream, those are gonna last a lot better.
Oh, yeah, those are,
Is that trail designated snowmobile trail in the wintertime, or is that strictly a walking trail? Is that on the?
I think a
Strictly
part of it
walking
is-
trail.
Hmm?
That is not a snowmobile
It's
trail.
just a walking trail, right?
They have, they can come across am I correct, they come across the Kissing Bridge, is that part of the snowmobile trail? I don't have my binder.
Well, that's not part of the walking trail.
Yeah, well,
But yes, that's,
It
the
leads to-
town allows them to do that every year
yeah,
because your other access was blocked off.
yeah. But now they shouldn't be on especially the section from Montcalm Street down to Tower Avenue, they shouldn't be there.
all the snowmobile trails are on grass areas but not on any designated walking.
So we don't plow that in winter, right? Or do
The
we?
only thing that gets cleared is Bicentennial, for sure.
So could
Sometimes
we
Grant
use
has
it as
extra
a
time and
snowshoe-
we'll clear
as
the
a
other.
snowshoe or cross-country ski trail, or not?
That's what it's supposed to be. That's why it's not supposed to be plowed in the
Plowed
wintertime.
in the winter.
All around the ballpark, the
But it's because, unfortunately, that part of the section has become the dog walking area, so a lot of people are on that trail all the time anyway. But that's the end of my report.
Okay. Do you have any resolutions?
No.
All right, Mark, you're up. Steve?
I mentioned this before, I had a productive meeting at Silver Bay with Steve Tan. We had a good conversation about just opportunities for youth, and both understand that with, a holding pattern for programs for, because of the COVID situation, just the constraints around that. We did talk about a concept. The school has started some after-school clinics for, it's not an intramural program, but from, like clinics, social distancing, and all of that. Is that something, based on the fact that we don't have youth programs, should we consider doing something like that? We still need to flesh it out, because there's obviously a lot of, evaluate the risks of that, and just, it makes sense. We could still discuss that to some degree, but I mentioned the meeting with Steve because he reached out to me today, and so I'm planning a follow-up meeting with him and talk about just, the opportunities we have as far as they're looking at a budget for next year, so tee up the teen center and after-school program and just some things, and then we'll talk about that further. We've also, I'm going to put out to see if there's any other people who would like to get involved with the youth commission, because we've had a pretty low attendance. Last meeting was Joyce and Mr. Bartlett and I. We had a good discussion discussion, but we need to get some engagement there to be able to, really have some good solid programs. And then as we go into budgeting for our group, we had advertised for a recreational director, and just we need to think about, the viability of that going forward and that program and potential staffing of that, so we can talk about that as well, before the next youth program. So that's all I have for that. If anybody has any questions. So we have two resolutions. The first is a resolution to appoint Helen Barton-Benedict as the recreational specialist of the 2021 ski program. She's done a great job in the past.
Yes.
Just do it again.
It's a pretty successful program, even got Crown Point now, last 2 years in the project.
So optimistic they'll be able to go on and with transportation out right now. We're planning on it, so I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried.
And a resolution to set the time for neighborhood Halloween trick or treating from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. And we'll take we already gave it to Matt Corey, or email.
Yeah, the stuff from the Department of Health.
Yeah, and we'll get that on the website and then maybe get some copies out. But so we'll set the time from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m.
I'll move it.
Second.
Does anyone have any concerns or other questions regarding this? Because I told them I'd let them know tomorrow morning before they go to. Any other discussion that was brought up from?
I'm not sure how it's gonna play out. We live on a popular street, I'm just wondering.
I think you're gonna find that there are people that just aren't gonna participate, not only trick or treating, but also in handing out the candy, so I think it's gonna be just kind of a mixed.
I would like to see us maybe put something on the website where
Sure.
that we're not encouraging it. We understand the COVID circumstances, but we understand that there's some kids that would probably come out, and I think it's a personal choice, right? I mean, parents can decide to take their children out, and, if somebody's is off, I would expect that they would understand that, nobody's home, and to respect that. So, and then a pretty tight window, so, trying to be considerate of all those parties, rather than just say no, put it out there, but, there's definitely some personal responsibility, and, I can ask Matt, because I was gonna follow up with him, there's, maybe they do offer 5 to 7 to, put their sanitizer out, and we can make some, something like that, if people want to stop there, I don't know how we want to take any of that on, but the chamber wanted to do that from a volunteer standpoint, they could.
We discussed this at the last TMSB board meeting, and really we came to no consensus of what exactly we could do. Somebody suggested the scavenger hunt, which was in one of those handouts. That I haven't talked to Matt recently, so I don't know if he did anything with that or not. But it was just, we talked about having a parade around the park and handing out a bag of candy at the end, but we didn't make a decision about that either, so. I
know the
have a
one
feeling people are gonna be trick-or-treating.
Yeah, the one downtown, they're not doing as minors, correct? Yeah, just, this is, if you want to run the neighborhoods, it's some guidelines to show them the timeline. And
It's gonna be the same scenario as it was the 4th of July. You can advise and you can tell them, you'd like to see them do this, but you can't fix stupid. There's gonna be certain people out there that just do it, and they're gonna go. I mean,
Summarize it.
I mean, you can advise them and you can put protocols out all you want, and there's just gonna be a certain amount of people that are gonna.
I'm glad my kids need the candy.
Yep.
so on that
That
note,
wasn't entirely wrong.
on that note, we had a motion and a second.
All in favor?
Sorry.
Right.
Let's see.
I have nothing to report.
Okay.
They're still playing pickleball.
Yeah, so Dave and I have been in conversations. I did reach out to, again, Linda Beers, the director of public health. They take it to their group, their routinely meeting group, these kind of requests, because basically the pickleballers, it's now October, and they're looking to, they can get back into the Armory. Right now, no group is in the Armory. Not the ACAP or the nutrition meal site, that's not operating there. Neither are our youth programs. Ours are obviously the Silver Bays or the senior center. So there's only a handful always this new resurgence of information coming out. The latest is about the aerosol, COVID aerosol droplets and so forth in the air that potentially can linger for quite a long time. And you've got people that would be playing that would be obviously increased heart rates and respiration. And so anyway, I sent it out to them, looking to get some information back from them as to guidance as to what their suggestions are. And in some ways, I had a couple conversations with a few of you. Schools are being, when it comes to like gym class, what they're allowing to take place in the schools, I can't. So we just got to be careful whatever we decide to do that is, in line with other guidance and other precautionary measures for that. It's not, it's like every other decision, right? It's kind of a challenge because people like to play certain things or do certain things year round, and because of this particular virus, it's been very challenging to find safe means by which to continue to do normal. So wait to hear back from the Department of Health, see what they have to say. Because it's an indoor thing as opposed to an outdoor thing, it's just, I think it's that more restrictive. So we'll just have to see, what they recommend and go from there. But I just want to let you know, so that was one of the things that has been talked about, and trying to get the right guidance to move forward with that. Did you guys know?
No, you summed it up well. There's a lot of rules and layers. Locally, schools aren't having sports this season.
Right.
Gym class is still restricted. Playground 12 feet apart, mask because of the things you mentioned. So
Yeah.
it's complicated.
Yeah. Health insurance, we've got a meeting next Friday. Mark Crawford will be here, 9 a.m. So that's all I have on health insurance. Contract negotiations, we don't have any. And I don't see any forthcoming in the future. And then IT cable TV, I have a resolution. I don't need the resolution, but I have it because it's the first of a few different resolutions we'll be putting forth. Tom and I were on a conference call last week regarding the items I mentioned to you. We have servers that are hitting their 5-year mark, and they were evaluated by StoreTech. They were put in by StoreTech. They recommend just upgrading them for the next couple of years with the newest, latest versions of their software and VMware. The capacity doesn't seem to be an issue, and that was something that we talked about. I'd like to move forward with this. There is money in the budget for this, at least right now. We may need to move some later on. We're going to need to move some later on because the next piece that I'm also working on is upgrading computers and providing an up-to-date list of all computers and the users and email addresses that we have in town so that they can help with the next pieces, which involves file folder sharing workshops for the different departments, because there's a lot of education that's necessary to make not only just the upgrading of computers, but we really haven't migrated computers to a central server so that everyone can be using the same files rather than storing them physically on their hard drive. And like everyone, there's always a bit of training involved in that. So yeah, this is kind of, if you want to call phase 1, just to get the servers updated and upgraded, and then the next couple of phases will be making sure we've got updated computers, properly migrating those to the servers, and then getting us where we need to be for cybersecurity and things of that sort. So
StoreTech is managing all the cybersecurity.
they are,
All that
yeah,
is part of it.
yeah. We still have some improvements to do, just simply because of the age of the equipment and because of the nature in which we haven't really fully migrated everything together, but we'll get there. So like I said, I just put a resolution here just to make everyone aware that we'd like to proceed with this $7,043.81 purchase of several upgrades for equipment. I'm sorry, with server upgrades to our equipment, with funds to come from budgeted funds and that line item.
I'll move it.
Second.
Any discussion? Tom, do you have anything?
No, I think we covered it.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. And then just stay tuned, we'll have some more coming up in the next month or so for the other items. So with that, we'll jump into regular resolutions. The first is to accept and correct the minutes of the regular town board meeting in September and the 4 budget workshops we've held in the latter part of September on those dates.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
hotel and meals and travel. Per the federal per diem rates, this is for Jared Wright, who's our wastewater treatment plant operator. He had recently gotten his grade 2, I believe, and grade 2 or grade
2.
I know. Yeah, I think it was 2. I believe. Yeah, and he's gonna be, well, he'll be getting his grade 3 here next year. So this is for training for that. It's in February.
I think he's got the wrong year.
I think you got the wrong year, thank you. I'll change that.
Hey, with 2020, you never know.
We lost a lot.
It could be February again.
Oh, God, that's so nice.
Who knows?
It's the groundhog's there. Okay, so Jared to attend grade 3 supervisor training in Morrisville, at Morrisville College. And that time period, like February of next year.
I'll move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Resolution to authorize the town supervisor to execute the cable television agreement with Spectrum Northeast LLC for a term of 5 years.
Subject to, I gotta sign off on the
Okay.
contract with
So
them.
subject to attorney approval?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Resolution to offer employment to Roberta Cooper for the full-time position of clerk in the Justice Department at the hourly rate of $20.63 effective tomorrow. The judges had conducted interviews. We had actually quite a good pool of applicants, so.
I don't recognize the name other than the Cooper, but, is this a local person? or-
Yes.
Yes.
She's Annie
It's
Connors.
Ian Connors.
Okay.
So,
I'll move it.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Next is a resolution to reappoint Scott Herberg, Pat Ida, Peter Reel, Nancy Archer, and Lance Clark to the Ticonderoga Revitalization Alliance Board of Directors for a 3-year term beginning January 2021.
I'll move it.
Second.
Your discovery.
Why are we, I have to ask, why are we appointing the board?
Well, we had, when this was created,
I am grinning from ear to ear under this.
Matt and I are thinking the same thing.
So
It's part of their bylaws that the town has to approve their board of directors and their,
Part of their bylaws?
well, it's part of their agreement with, it's part of their agreement with the town when they formed that. There's a lot of things when they formed that, but this is part of it.
It's just so
The
strange.
town board has to approve their board.
What happens if we don't? Just ask.
We don't even see the
And
minutes.
they go away? I mean,
I can pull those minutes out from that meeting.
You can move that.
Right? Okay.
Well, that's a good, that's a good point for, I'd say move ahead now because of past practice, but that is an unnecessary staff building. What's the, I agree with you, what's the reason for doing that? Do we have any oversight? Do we have,
I don't even think we see the minutes.
is there a budget there that we,
I mean, she's a paid position by them, you know? They're, right now, they're a profit, it's not it might be non-profit,
They're 501c3 now.
yeah, but.
It took them a long time, but they are.
Yeah, I mean,
They were supposed to be a standalone.
yeah.
We've given them money.
Yeah.
well, one time, yeah, we did the grant for the zombie project.
Yeah. But that worked out well.
I have a whole public hearing on it
Yeah, that was
in
good.
minutes if you want to look at it. Yes.
time to do
Well, I
that?
don't know, it doesn't need to be approved until January, and you could, if you wanted to, hold off and wait and, see if there's any need to.
You still have to do it. It's part of the agreement that they would always come back to the town because the town had to authorize the LDC for the.
Yeah, Land Development Corporation. Local, thank you. Well, we should have a discussion on it at some point, but go ahead and move it. Did you already move? You moved it? Did they move it?
No.
I'll move it. I'll start it off.
I guess
I'm just kind of dumbfounded, I guess. Speechless.
Do you want to, I mean, it's only October, we could wait until November, I don't think it's just appointing until December or January.
Let's table it to November, and then we can have just some discussion, just so Tom and I understand the background, because we
Yeah, okay.
weren't fully there, and
Yeah.
just to make sense, and if it makes sense to modify the agreement, then it does.
I like that, John.
I guess the last time it came on, I wasn't a board member, because I don't remember this either. It's just really strange to have to approve the board of a 501c3.
Gas bids.
Okay, so, we'll-
Well, it wasn't ever seconded, so it just dies.
yeah, it just dies. So we'll bring it next. Okay, resolution to advertise for the town's annual gas, diesel, and propane bid.
I'll move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Resolution to set budget workshops.
Oh, here we go.
I thought we already did that.
Oh, we did, we haven't done which preliminary. It's that hour, right? Somebody starts. The end of the second hour. Some people are laughing, some people.
You want us to some dates now?
Yeah, I didn't have anything set up yet.
We're only gonna have one more.
Well, we've met with, yeah, we met with,
Alicia, right?
no, we,
Can you hear it?
No, I,
Yeah, I met with the police.
you want to know the joy?
Thank you, though.
No, police or water sewer. So we pretty much took care of highway, I think just a couple of things. All right, anyway.
Police, we could do it now.
Well, let me ask Tanya, remind me again, we're gonna set one of the other items on here is public hearing for the budget and the proposed sewer and water rate. Is that increases or just the rate itself? I always get this set up.
It's only if it increases.
Only
You
if it
have to
increases.
do that.
Okay. You set the rate, you don't set the increase amount from the rate, you just, if the rate increases, you're setting the new rate.
Right.
Okay.
Well, and you have to specify when it's increasing.
Right, okay. And then the other thing is the publishing of the elected, which, you're now on a different side of the room, what's your, I forget what the time limit for that was.
I have to put that in with the public hearing announcement, and that has to be 10 days before your public hearing.
Public hearing.
So I can't really see the calendar from
The
here.
public hearing is on the 12th. November 12th is the November regular board meeting. So you
But I have to have 10 days from the date that I'm publishing, and then I have to be able to
Right.
publish it the Monday before that Saturday.
Monday before that Saturday.
So you have to get the elected officials.
By the 26th of October, because then it'll go in the paper on the 30th, which is, the 30th is this Friday. And that'll be-
November's a
Yeah,
late.
that'll be 12 days before, the meeting. So basically, you have it,
So I can,
you need to have it by the 26th. All right, so how about the 16th of next week? I'm just throwing out a couple of dates. The 16th is, because obviously Monday is.
16th is a Friday.
It is a Friday. Does that work, or is that?
That's the best day of the week for me.
I'm out of town, but, I mean, if you have a quorum, go for it.
What day are you in town?
The following week,
Are you out of town next week?
uh,
Or is there any day that works?
Wednesday to Friday.
Okay.
16th is okay with me.
Well, what's the following look like that for you?
Yeah, financial meeting on the 22nd, it's on the calendar.
Right.
Are you looking in the morning or evening?
Whatever's convenient.
22nd, at the financial.
usually we do workshops during the day,
Yeah.
because that's only for the board, public can speak, I mean, they can attend, but this is only a workshop for the board to do.
For me, afternoon works better. If I'm working, I'm usually off by 3 o'clock anyway, 3 or 4. But whatever, doesn't matter, I can always take the day.
So like, starting at 1 o'clock or noon, is that
Yeah.
allow you to work in
Yeah.
the morning or no?
Start at noon, you can bring lunch.
Okay. How about noon on the 21st?
Noon on the 21st,
Does that,
it's a Wednesday.
that's a Wednesday?
Okay.
Mark, is that good for you?
Who's that, 20th, 21st?
Yeah, right now, just,
Yeah.
you know, unless travel needs are out like today.
And then how about, we have a, and then
Maybe
maybe,
double them up. That's 3 days in a row, that's lost.
well, we could skip the finance meeting on
Oh.
Thursday. Because there's a Blackwatch, is a Blackwatch library meeting? You tend to go to those.
Yes, I tend to go to them. Very last couple months, there's been a conflict here, but yeah.
Okay, so why don't we we can just make those budget workshops with any of the local business, just to be able to cover anything for the finance, that way we don't have to have that separate.
So the 21st,
How about the 21st and the 23rd, 2 afternoon sessions? Is that okay? 12
The
o'clock?
first and the 23rd?
Yeah,
At what time? Noon or 1?
noon?
we skip the finance.
Yeah, we'll cancel the finance one. And we'll if there's anything that needs to be brought up, we'll just bring it up at that point. Okay? And if we need another one, we can schedule it
What do you say, noon?
noon on the 21st and noon on the 23rd.
Yuck.
Yep.
Well, that's a meeting on the 21st for me. I have a public hearing on the 22nd and then another meeting on the 23rd. So
Oh, you got your,
I'll
I'm
be
sorry.
in the weekend doing minutes for, that, you gotta get it done.
What's the
so-
22nd though? You have your,
I have a public hearing for the planning
Why
board.
can't we, why can't we get them
Let's
all in
just
one
get
day?
it done.
That's wasting 3 days.
no, you can't cancel the finance meeting.
Yeah,
So that's 2 days.
you said 22nd.
You guys don't have that. It's a planning
She's got a
board,
planning
Oh,
board
oh,
meeting.
oh.
which is gonna be a long meeting.
Okay.
I hope not. It's just a lot of typing for me.
All right, so 21st,
And 23rd at noon.
23rd,
Done? First, second, get the heck out of this?
Okay,
Oh,
I'll move it. Second?
all in favor?
aye.
And then a resolution to cancel the finance meeting,
So moved.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Resolution to set the public hearing for the town board, the town of Ticonderoga's 2021 budget. That'll be on November 12th, 6 p.m.
I'll move it.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
So carried. And a resolution to set the public hearing for the proposed 2021 sewer rate increase or water rate increase as well. Same day, November 12th at 6 p.m.
I'll move it.
Second.
Who brought up?
Dave and then,
No.
oh,
Travis.
Travis. Sorry. All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
So carried. Okay. Now into the finance portion. We're getting towards the end of the year, so some budget line items have been overspent. And Frank has been kind of working through and used line items that are still money in them to cover the ones that have been overspent. So the first one is really just creating a new capital project, H62, which is the lead service line replacement. And when we create these, they have a whole litany of new accounts, so they're all there. It's true of every account we create, every fund we create. Not all of them will be used, but that's just how the ABS creates it. And then the first item before that was a library vacation buyback. We just didn't have that line item. We offer vacation buyback, so anyone, so our library manager is going to take advantage of that this year. So I need a resolution for that.
I'll move it.
Second.
Do some motion.
Yeah.
That resolution.
All in favor?
Who seconded?
Aye.
Mark?
I did.
Tom?
Tom, I can't hear you tonight.
Why not?
I don't know, speak up.
Normally my voice carries, so I try to keep it down a little bit.
Yeah.
It's not around my ears. That's
Next
why I
one
put
is
my hair up.
There you go.
resolution authorizing the following budget transfers. These are just, again, moving money within a particular account between codes that have money to lend to other codes.
Budget transfers or budget adjustments?
These are adjustments, these are adjustments.
Okay. Yeah, we know.
So the first group is within the general. The second item is a Parks and Rec maintenance. This is a partial payment of the monument restoration. That's going to be covering the capital, from the capital reserve. There was 23,000, I think, left in that, but the total amount for, I think the total amount was 43,500 for that bill. So we're taking it partially from capital reserve and partially from the Parks and Rec line item, because there wasn't any other money available from the capital reserve.
It must be depleted.
I think so. There goes the swing set.
No, I am.
Then you have some sewer movements of money within those line items, as well as water. Any questions on those?
I'll move it.
Second.
All in favor? So carried. We have the following authorization for the following budget transfers. So here we're going to use some contingency to make, to increase some line items to make payments. The first is, first grouping is from general. Again, the vacation buyback for the libraries in there. You see the assessor, that has to do with some of the additional costs for some of the settlements that we've been working through. Some disability insurance, there was some underestimations of that amount. Usually that amounts to about 2,000, we just didn't budget enough, so. And the recent work on the runways as well. We have some money left over in the airport account, but not enough to cover the full amount, so. Then below that, you'll see the monument restoration expense. This is the additional amount of money to cover that. And that one is coming from the capital reserve and through Parks and Rec, the same one from above. And then below that, you got the transfer stations building money that's coming from buildings and grounds account to go to refuse and garbage to make that payment as equipment. And then the last few, we had a couple, had a few bills regarding some highway attorney charges from resolved issues, just lingering. So that's coming from contingency. Same with sewer, just some overspending of chemicals and lab testing. One of the labs that we typically use air and fresh water just got ended. Okay, I didn't know if you. So, and then the last one is some water general supplies, just taking that out of the computer line item. So, anyway. Any questions?
Derek had mentioned we had, our chemical usage was down in a good way since we've gone to the wells, because maybe he could, because some people have asked about, we're running electric pumps up there, so we're spending a lot more money for the water, but actually there's been savings on the other side of it, because the water from the wells is cleaner, depending on your interpretation. So I just think it'd be a good thing to share that we've done at some point.
Yeah.
Because when they're, that budget discussion on the 12th, it might be a good,
Cost manager shakeout.
Right.
thing to talk about. I'll move that.
Dave, your second?
Second, yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. The last two are just interfund loans and interfund transfers. The first group is due to, due from. So the first is to provide funding for the lead service line replacement program until that funding is received. The next one is the HVAC, same thing, just until that funding is received. And the last one is the culvert reorg, and the same thing, until that funding is received. So with respect to water, sewer, and highway funds, will just cover those expenses, and then they'll be reimbursed when that funding is received to the town.
I'll move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. And the last resolution, just the Chilson Lake water exploration. This one is, as you know, being funded by the general fund until such time as the district is formed, and then we can, those charges would then be incurred on the district and replenished back to the town.
So, what if they decide not to form a district?
It doesn't get repaid.
And has there been any further discussions about them forming a district, getting together, and moving that forward? I mean, I know we're taking a proactive piece to try to get this done, because we're timing, that they're gonna run out of money, we have from the town board, but is there a point where it's kind of like, you know, you've gotta, they've gotta make a decision here at some point.
June 24th, 2025.
I understand that.
Oh, I know, that's, you're asking for the date.
But at what point does it cease becoming a town's, you know, I understand we're trying to help them along, but there's a point where, you know, you can only help those that are willing to help themselves. And right now, they don't seem to be in agreement among them to form a district, and we don't know if they're gonna happen. And we're spending other taxpayers' money for something that may or may not happen. And quite frankly, I think that we need to really consider whether or not we want to continue down that road. I mean, I know we did it for expedient reasons, and we've done, you know, hired, you know, paid engineers, all that kind of stuff, but, you know, there's a point where, you know, they've got to make a decision here. I mean, how far down the road do we go with this before we say enough's enough?
Is it because there's no use, I mean, it's split, it's divided up there? I mean,
Well,
50% of them are, 50 don't.
No, it's
Clear.
Huh?
It's not clear.
But I mean, I'm just thinking from going to the meetings, is that your opinion?
I don't know, I wouldn't even put a number on it.
The issue is the confusion about how everything is transpired from the very beginning till now, and also with the fact that it's a pretty hefty cost to move forward. So, you know, it's no different than what other parts of town, the people that were here at the water sewer meeting because of, you know, the discussion about putting water and sewer district extensions on Baldwin, and, you know, just the fact that everyone is trying to take in that benefit, but the cost incurred is, you know, sometimes outside of the realm of. Yeah, so that's, you know, the issue is cost, and it's mostly, it's like everything else, it's, you know, there's a financial, you know, consideration that needs to be understood. So, but I think we are making some headway with just getting that out there and having some good discussions with.
Do we have to supply them?
We
If they don't want to do anything, they're without water. I mean, we don't have to do it.
No, our mandate.
I mean, if they can't come up with a decision,
The town's mandate is to discontinue the use of gooseneck as a drinking water source by June 24th, 2025.
My understanding is
We have milestones before that, but like June, coming up in June, there has to be a map plan and report filed for the district.
so we still have to execute on those administrative pieces, which is a cost to, and because we're mandated to do that, we don't really have a choice at this point, correct? And that's what this is covering.
When you undertake a public water supply, you undertake obligations. And one of the obligations now is to fulfill this consent decree.
fire protection.
That's not part of drinking water.
That's not.
That's part of the confusion, but it is not part of, it's not a fire flow district. It's a drinking water. I shouldn't even say district, no. It's not a fire flow supply. It's a drinking water supply that is also used for fire. But it's not a dedicated, has never been dedicated, you know what I mean? There's no district for fire
Gooseneck
flow.
couldn't be used as a fire protection.
Sure. That pipe can flow as long as you want to let it go. Question is, are you going to maintain it after you're not using it? That's not part of this project. And we're working on, I spent actually quite a bit of time yesterday working on the Q&A that we'll get up on the website. You know, a lot of questions that I've written down over the meetings that we've had that we can put up there. I thought the last call actually was very good. We had some people on there that kind of cut through. There's still some emotion, strong emotion, because some people could be hurt if they can't get water, you know? But I thought the people that were on that call were very interested in a solution and not, you know, regurgitating and rehashing 100 years of history, right? That was my an impression. That group that you had on that call, I thought was wanting to educate themselves and not just yell. And I think that was one of the best.
That was the Zoom call, right?
Yeah, it was a good call with the people that were present.
And there are others like them, I just, that they don't, when you have these larger meetings we've had last year and even this year, you don't get the dialogue that you really want to have that's constructive. It keeps kind of getting overtaken by.
That's what happens in a one-on-one debate.
Right.
Right. But
Extrapolate that to a, you know.
50 on one, right?
unless I misunderstand here, it's up to the residents of Chilton Eagle Lake to get together and come to the town to ask them to form a district, right? And
It could be town board driven.
Right.
That's a legal, there is a legal option where the town board can, you know, cause the drafting of the map plan and report, and the town could impose it. That has permissive referendum and all sorts of things involved in it.
I'm not sure that the town is willing to go down that road at this point,
Exactly.
right?
My
So-
impression of, has
Right.
been that that's not the appetite of the
Right.
town board.
Right,
to do that.
and so with that aside,
It's a
okay,
petition.
then they need to petition the town to form a district, right? And do we, from what I've seen, even though there are people that are coming around to understanding kind of what's going on, I'm not sure you're getting to, you know, I mean, we're moving into winter time. A lot of those residents are leaving, and they're going home. And are they gonna carry this over? And if there's not a petition set up until next spring, you know, we're starting to get late here. And my concern is that if we continue to fund some of these expenses down the road, just to keep things moving, you're basically doing it on behalf of somebody that could very well turn around and say, thanks, but no thanks, guys, we're gonna go drill our own independent wells, and we're gonna, 4 or 5 of us are gonna get together and drill a well on this piece of property and service each other, which doesn't have anything to do with the district and nothing to do with the town of Ticonderoga. And so I think.
That's gonna whittle your user number down.
Well, you use the
Cost
numbers
goes up.
down, the cost goes up for everybody else, and so I think there's a point where the town has to say, when are we gonna stop funding this until they get formal petition, and that's my concern, you
But
know?
these mandated items, we have to execute on, which means we have to pay them.
But that's not what this is, right?
This is part of the mandated work.
This is part of the mandate.
Yes.
Okay, sorry, my mistake.
You haven't done anything, at least in my impression, that was elective. Oh, this is
The first,
obligated.
right, the first obligation was the PER, or preliminary engineering report. So we met that obligation in June of this year. We went out to bid RFP from a number of different engineering firms, and that's how we selected B&L. And they had a price associated with that work that they did. And then we also went out and, well, we didn't do an RFP the next time, because now we selected the engineering firm. We're now in a different contract with them to do the next piece, which is the MPR, the map planning report. So those are the two pieces that, you know, PER leads to the MPR by next June. And that's where we're at right now. So
But isn't that something that should be done once the town received, I mean, all things being equal, shouldn't there be a
Yes.
petition in first, and then these things would happen?
They come together at the same time. The petition must include the map plan and report.
Right.
It
So
can't be
that's something that they could come to us and ask us to do, but they've not done that. We're doing-
No, the petition has to have the map plan and report attached to it.
So you have to do that.
But to your point,
But that's something that they should have done, right?
it's cart and horse.
Yeah.
We're in a bit of a hybrid situation, because like, as opposed to Sagamore and Outlet, that's being driven by the property owners working with the LGA. They're working together on what that map's gonna look like, and they'll come in with a petition. Here, it's a bit of a hybrid because it's a different situation. They were our users that are on the town system that was under a federal consent decree. So with that, the town has some obligation to satisfy the consent decree. What the consent decree couldn't say is that you must supply them water. It is a driven by the users type of process. So that's why we're in the last half, I guess you would say, of the consent decree is the Eagle Lake and Chilson water users.
What percentage of the people have to have signed a petition?
That's a good question. So that's part of a lengthy Q&A that I worked on yesterday with some actual financial numbers. The short, the reason it comes up in the context is people keep asking, can I be included in the district against my will? And my answer has been, it depends. Nobody likes that answer, and me either. So finally, I put together a nice lengthy examples, and here's how. The petition has to be signed by 50% of the assessed value of the proposed district, okay? So it's not a one lot, one signature, it's 50% of the assessed value. And of that, if there's resident owners, because some districts can be non-resident owners, if there are resident owners, you must have more than 50% of the resident owners, okay? So it's a two-part analysis, because we've got some seasonals, and some resident owners. So that math will come up. So to answer the question of could I be included against my will, if you think of that math, yes. Okay, so I made up an example of if you had 100 users and $100,000 in assessed value, I just kept the math simple, and 60 of the users were resident owners, okay? Then 52 of those resident owners of $1,000 each, that'd be 52,000, that's more than half of the entire assessed value, and half of the residents, right, if the residents are 60, then the other 48 could be included against their will.
So if you had 10 people on the lake who were assessed high assessment, and 50 people up in the woods with low assessment, the 10 people on the lake would supersede.
Could. If they were resident owners and they had more than 50%, if you think it's 50% plus one of the assessed value, yes, they could. They could tip that, they'd put their thumb on that scale, yeah. That is a hypothetical that could happen. So when I say at the meetings, it depends, and the people yell, now I'm gonna give you actually mathematical examples of, here's how it could happen.
Is Canfield?
Your neighbors could drag you in, is how it works. But it comes to the town board, because there's an analysis. The town board has to make a decision, are all of the people in this map plan report, are they all benefited? So the person that came in against their will, if they're not benefited, the town board has the ability to pull them out. One of the other criteria the town board has to go through is, are people benefited that aren't in this map plan report? So have people been excluded that are actually benefited? The water line goes by their property. Were they excluded but benefited? The town board can say, yes, you gotta be in. There's a bunch of machinations as to how that happens, but the petition comes in with the map plan report, and then the town board has to make decisions. We have to do the math, and I would work through that with you. And then we've got to make these determinations. So it's a lot of work to get to that point.
You can see why people are undecisive.
Yeah.
Just talking tonight. I mean, there's so many
Yeah.
Well, it probably wouldn't be so.
different scenarios that you could.
Right.
And because it's only 100 and something users, and it's a fairly long stretch of road and relatively rural, it makes it a very expensive project. Divided by few people, it makes the project very expensive.
Right.
And some people could, potentially not fall in for the category that Matt's saying and opt out, which reduces the number. They could put in a well, or a half dozen people could get together and decide to put in one in to supply, and that reduces the number of users further that aren't in the district, and it drives the price per unit higher. So it is a complicated situation, and my only concern is that we don't want to get in a position that everybody decides up there to bail out and they're gonna find an alternative, whether it's drill a well and do something, and we have spent community money and can't get reimbursed because they're not gonna pay for it anymore. That's my only concern.
But we did our due diligence, which is what we're obligated to do at this point, unfortunately. Is that the same statement?
Yeah, if a decision comes up, and hypothetically, if everybody decided they're not gonna use a municipally supplied source, then I would go back to the Department of Justice and say, we're done with the rest of this debris because the decision has been made that these users are not gonna have a municipal source. Not everybody can do that. Because with the one lady that was on the call, she can't put a well on her property, right? Rock or size and things like that. It's just
But
not
you could
feasible.
potentially get with her neighbors and put in a community well or something. So, I mean, there's options.
Pros and
that
cons.
have Pros and cons, right.
But a lot of them too, the Department of Health, I mean, your septic and your wells Because that's
That's
so
right,
small.
well, that's part of the
If
problem.
they can't build a well when the septic is 20 feet away.
Right, that's part of the problem.
All variables that are understood by everyone, yeah. Yeah. Not an easy situation, and it's all driven by money. It's cost, and you get it, makes sense, I get it. I had that discussion with Dick, right, Mr. Loder, I said, if we got the cost to, whatever, $500-600 a year, whatever, I forget what the number was, and he had said, would you care where the water came from? Nope. That tells you it's cost. It's cost, makes sense, I would be the same, we all would, nobody in this room would be any different, right? If it's 2,000 or 500, your loyalty to where the water is changes dramatically. So we gotta go beat people up at the feds and the state and get money. We gotta stop arguing internally and go get money. That's all you can do.
So did you move that?
What are we
How
talking
was
about?
it?
I have,
February?
Just to confirm, Joe brought the resolution, I'll move it.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
I,
So carried. Resolution to pay the abstract,
I'll move it.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Resolution to accept the supervisor's report as submitted.
I'll move it.
second,
There's just one note, we didn't receive the bank reconciliation, so there's some blank spots on the back. For the, in the back, the report is incomplete in terms of the bank recs.
Thanks, we'll get it updated.
Well, yeah, but when they get it, they can update it, just to give you, yeah, if they didn't come in. Our meeting, this is one of the earlier dates we had, right, in the meeting, so.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
So carried. Okay, Tanya? Huh?
No.
No, Matt has a couple for us.
Yeah, you all wanted to change the Liberty Monument Repair Reserve Fund to a general monument repair reserve fund. So I give you a resolution just to change the term Liberty to Ticonderoga, and it will be
All mine.
all monuments that the town board designates. That's the first one.
Okay.
Then you move it, I'll move it.
Second,
Get all that.
Dave?
Roll call vote, Mark?
Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
aye.
Joyce?
Aye.
Dave?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
And the second one is, you'll recall a few months ago, actually, we hired a special counsel down from the Poughkeepsie area on the Article 7 challenge for the power plant. And I'm actually very happy to report that in somewhat short order, they went to work on it and got us a settlement proposal that we talked about parameters last month. They came in under those parameters, and Patty is fine with it. So I have drafted a resolution to approve that settlement.
I'll move it.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
So carried.
And I do need a quick executive session, because when I turned my attention from the shoe hydro Article 7, I put it square on Walmart. And yesterday, actually, really pushed, we have another special attorney that's working on the Walmart case, special counsel. And overnight last night, settlement talks picked up on that. So we're having an executive session to talk about parameters of that potential settlement. Maybe next month we might have an offer coming back. Walmart's been pending for quite some time. It's been a concern of mine. I've had it. But I think we might be on the verge here of getting the deal done. So I was hoping to clear out as many of these as we possibly can.
We just had, we had that public comment there, Mark, or you guys have anything?
Yeah, I just had one thing, sorry, Tanya. Just kind of going back to what we discussed earlier about the water at new areas. So I heard all the discussion about fire suppression concerns legalities regarding shutting off water to an owner who didn't ask that. And those seem logical and should be pursued. What I'm not really hearing is kind of disappointing, is I'm not hearing hard dates for when you're going to talk to Derek, when you're going to talk to Bill, when you're going to gather that information that you need, when you're going to regroup and discuss that for a decision. This group can't really accomplish anything without some kind of a schedule. I'm just not hearing that. This seems to be like, this topic seems to be really low-hanging fruit compared to some of the other towns' topics and issues and challenges. And this all could have been, everything that's been discussed tonight and the last board meeting when we discussed this, and the Public Works meeting, all that could have been discussed a year ago when the problem was identified, but it hasn't. It just is a can that keeps getting kicked down the road and we don't get anywhere with it. So I'm kind of disappointed by the inaction, the failure to actually put hard dates down to get things done, to set goals. And it seems like the group is just suffers from paralysis by analysis. You just never get anywhere. And I just want to make that statement. I would really like to see the group come back and either say, we can't do this right now because of the following, or we can do this right now, and here's the milestones for when this is going to happen. That's all I have. Okay. Thank you.
Sam, did you have any?
Use my comments in executive session.
Tim,
Do you have any questions?
you have any questions for you?
Just real quick, I thought that building has not been foreclosed on by the
Well, the
county.
specs, no.
What are they-
That's what it says.
What's
on
the, Kathy gets to chase the rat.
They don't want it.
They don't want it.
But then I thought it was gonna be transferred over to James, and wasn't there some kind of IDA getting
Well,
involved?
so once the county, there's a process, right? Typically when
I'm being part
properties
of
have
All right,
3
so
to 2
just
years,
get it, because it
no
is
payment
out.
of taxes,
DOT
they're allowed to be taken back by the county for taxes. The county has to take ownership of the deeds. And the reason they don't take ownership of that part of the building is
Yeah,
because
just
it's
get it,
foreseen.
so, because it's
Yeah,
already
that
out.
was one.
I mean, nobody's called us,
They
I
have
just
someone else
sent you
who
an
can
email.
I'm gonna assume it's
I just sent you an email saying, if you guys know
Yeah, I
anybody
got
to tell them.
We're all raised up to
Make
that.
that transaction, the county has the authority to take it.
It's
Yeah, sure, let me just shut all this stuff down first, man.